And good evening, people. Welcome. I'm not sure how loud that music sounds when I mix it. Let me check something real quick here. And good evening, people. Okay, not too bad. So, tonight's the night when we get a prime time viewing of the January 6th committee. I know I'm excited. I may need a drink or two, though. But I got one ready. And I'm just curious how this is going to go. And I was going to invite some people on. I'll see who's out here in my Twitter feed, because I want to see if there's anyone interested in coming on and joining me. And if any of you want to join me, let me know. I might even, who knows? I just might let anybody come on. You know what I mean? Because it's this is going to be interesting. Oh, what did I do there? Let me move my screen over here so I can see. There we go. If you want, you could let me know. I'll put a link on. Anyway, I my dog is licking himself. Well, probably get ready for the committee, right? Because that's that's what you do. Oh, you mean this? It's not going to lick itself. Well, that's good that your dog is licking itself. I thought you'd get a kick out of this. So anyway, yeah, the January 6th committee is set to go. And apparently in about 10, well, it says in the countdown here, 7 minutes and 35 seconds. So look at this. Here they are. I'm going to go ahead and put this on the screen. And they've got the cameras. This is on C-SPAN. Now, the beautiful thing about C-SPAN is I don't necessarily have to listen to all the bullshit from the pundits. It's just going to be a live feed. And let's make sure this fits on the screen here. Okay, today, there we go. So, and I've never understood, how do you do this? It's a full screen layout. Oh, I didn't know you could do full screen layout. No, I don't want that. Okay, you get full screen layout. Yeah, because I want you to be able to see me talking too. But anyway, I'm not sure who these people are, but these people, this is the crowd that's excited to tell you that this is the worst thing that's happened since Pearl Harbor. A riot at the Capitol. We've never, ever had a riot at the Capitol. Oh, wait. We've had lots of bad things happen at the Capitol. 1952, 5 Congress people were shot in the halls of Congress. So it's not the worst thing ever, but they want you to think it is, because those people were trying to have an insurrection. Or not. Anyway, let me say hi to the people here. Mike Savage, Blarg, and the Bell, because you were first. Also, good evening, Neon Leon. Also, the gayest person on YouTube, Ozlek, nice to see you. Tazzy, what's up, my friend? My friend from down under actually gets to see me live. I'm here for you. Also, good evening, John Migda, Ty Alexander, Rod Lines in the house. Welcome back, sir. Septus Wolf. And anyway, I'm good. It's good to see y'all here. Oh, it got really quiet.
And we're about 8 minutes away from the start of
this is the C-SPAN feed.
Primetime hearing of the January 6th committee.
The Dawg and Pwny show. Let me mute
former
them.
U.S. Capitol Police Officer Peter Dunn. He testified in person at.
Okay. Well, let's see. Who is this? Peter Dunn.
Committee hearings. This is the first where they're reporting their results. 2 people testifying in person tonight. About 1,000 people have been interviewed or testified before the January 6th committee. So
that's okay, Rodline. I don't know, it's helpful
live
review.
Witnesses that you'll hear from tonight. Nick Quested, a British filmmaker who was embedded with the Proud Boys.
Filmmaker. Why are you so angry? Welcome.
And Caroline Edwards, who was the first U.S. Capitol police officer injured by protesters. This is the Cannon House Office caucus room.
What is the woman by What is a Woman by Matt Walsh is on BitChute right now after P-Dog, LOL. Well, I've already watched it. Hello, Squid. Nice to see you. This is a bunch of nonsense to fucking nonsense to further divide our nation and instigate a civil war. Yeah, you know, I am interesting. I don't know. Is it? That's for us to decide here. We'll talk about what's going on. Let me see if anyone now, here's something funny. Here is while we're waiting, this is a good meme. I'm gonna put this on the screen. Hang on. So maybe let's show the picture here. My computer's gonna be running slow since I'm running two things. A woman athlete. This is a fish. Health taking this jab. Leader. Inflation. Putin's fault. Attack. Orderly walking into the between the ropes. See, this is look at this. See this picture here. This is what we're talking about. The worst thing that's happened in the Capitol since Pearl Harbor, or the worst attack on American democracy since Pearl Harbor. Lung blower, because you know that's a 9mm pistol. Peace officer. I don't know what that means. Oh, that must be the idiot in Uvalde. Yeah, those fuckers that never went to the school building. And then an economist. I'm sorry. I just don't need any Germans trying to take over the world anymore. Anyway, we'll put that back. Zombie Teddy, what's happening? Hello, Beth Cass. Beth, what's up? Nice to have you here during a live event. It's nice to have you here. So, if you try to get my attention, you know, I like the grifters who did the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. You can throw money at me, and I'll say whatever you tell me to say, as long as it's not too nasty. Well, I might even let you say some nasty shit because I don't care. I'll be swearing during this stream
of tonight's January
because I just don't give a fuck. Anyway,
if you have to leave and you still want to watch it live, go to C-SPAN Now.
Oh, C-SPAN Now. Ooh.
Video app.
No, we're gonna watch it live.
Download it for free.
And I got a feeling. So what tonight's gonna be?
And you can watch the hearing in its entirety.
What's gonna happen tonight is they're gonna bring on a couple of their people they want to show you. They're going to have this British, I don't know, he's a filmmaker or whatever, but he was following around the Proud Boys, right? So they're going to try to make a big nasty thing about the Proud Boys. And again, if you heard, some of the Proud Boys have been actually charged with sedition. Hello, Lindsay. Nice to see you. And another one who I don't get to see in the morning as much, but good deal. And then they're also going to have one of the police officers, a woman officer who was, they say, I don't know how they calculate this, but they say that this officer was the first officer injured during the riots. And she had some brain damage, I guess, and she's going to tell her story. Now, her story is important to me. And the people who injured her, I don't care how long they put him in jail. They can put him in jail for whatever it is for assaulting an officer. She was doing her job. They were, and if they assaulting police officers, not good. Now, again, if you're going to hear some testimony in some of these trials, though, that some of the officers were just out there starting to beat on people seemingly for no reason. So a lot of people were just fighting back, but some, I don't know the whole story of everybody, but the ones who were, that actually rioted, caused damage, whatever, fine, put them in jail. But the vast majority of them were orderly, who made it into the Capitol building. You saw them going through the ropes. Some places they let them in, some places they broke in. The people who broke in, charge them. But the ones where they have footage of them being let in there by the officers, that's a little more problem. In fact, one of those cases has been dismissed because there's clear evidence that the officers let him in. Now, do you think any time during these prime time hearings, do you think at any point during the prime time hearing, they're going to show any footage of the officers just letting people in? Remember, this committee, by the way, if you don't know, this committee, John, make that. Oh, I said John. This committee is not actually a legitimate committee in Congress by the rules of the House of Representatives, because all select committees should have representation from both parties selected by their party leadership. Nancy Pelosi denied two of the people that were chosen by the Republican leadership, and so Kevin McCarthy pulled them. And so Nancy Pelosi then appointed two of the only two people in the Republican Party who were willing to go on this committee because they were never Trump, and she picked them specifically because of that. So so obviously these are all anti-Trump people. They're all, and lately, if you've listened to either of these people, Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger, on Twitter or anything they've been talking about on broadcast or whatever, they've made it very clear that they want to call this an insurrection. Sorry, I did that again, didn't I? So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. By the way, do me a favor. Share this stream out. Share the stream. If and also, I didn't even put the P-Dog Night in the live. Here, if you want to I'm gonna put my Streamlabs up. P-Dog Night live. If you want to do Streamlabs because you don't want to give Susan 30% of your, oops, that didn't work, did it? I have to let me copy that. Copy. Oh, and here we go. Here we go. Are you going to say the Pledge of Allegiance beforehand? I doubt it. All right, let's we'll pin that. If you want to go to pdognight.live, you can do super chats. I'll try to pay attention to the Streamlabs link up there, or I'll watch in the chat. Also, good evening, Crackshot, Q Continuum, and I already said Lindsay. This is Chairman Benny Thompson.
The Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol will be in order. Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare the committee
How's the volume, folks?
Recess at any point. Pursuant to House Deposition Authority Regulation 10, the chair announces the committee's approval to release the deposition material presented during tonight's hearing. Thanks to everyone watching tonight for sharing part of your evening to learn the facts and causes of the event.
Now remember, this is Benny Thompson,
and including the violent attack on January 6th.
Is an election denier.
Our democracy, electoral system,
he was one of the
country.
People who
I'm Benny Thompson,
would not approve
chairman of the January 6th,
the electors of Donald Trump
committee. I was born, raised, and still live.
Cannon Hotep, what's up? Cannon, you want to come on?
Population of 521.
You want to come on, Cannon?
Which is midway between
Let me know.
Jackson
I'll
and
DM
Vicksburg, Mississippi, and the Mississippi River. I'm from a part of
Hello,
the country
furry kitten. Nice to see you.
People justify the actions of slavery, the Ku Klux Klan, and lynching. I'm reminded of that dark history as I hear voices today try and justify the actions of the insurrectionists.
Oh my God, no one has tried to justify the actions of the insurrectionists. Over the next few weeks, holy shit.
Hopefully you will get to know
who's justified their actions. Anybody? Have you heard anybody justify their actions?
We represent a diversity of communities from all over the United States, rural areas and cities, East Coast, West Coast, and the Heartland. All of us have one thing in common. We swore the same oath.
There you go, Cannon.
That same oath that all members of Congress take upon taking office, and afterwards, every 2 years, if they are reelected.
It's in your DMs, Cannon. Hello,
we swore an oath to defend the Constitution.
So he tried to compare this to slavery and the Ku Klux Klan.
The words of the current oath taken by all of us,
good God,
that nearly every United States government employee takes, have their roots in the Civil War. Throughout our history, the United States has fought against foreign enemies to preserve our democracy, electoral system, and country. When the United States Capitol was stormed and burned in 1814, foreign enemies were responsible.
Was
After
the
war,
was the Capitol
in
was it burned
1862,
this time?
When American
Hello, Spud Gun.
citizens had taken up arms against this country, Congress adopted a new oath to help make sure no person who had supported the rebellion could hold a position.
Oh, here they go. He's going to try to say
Therefore,
that there were people in Congress
and United
and the
States federal
president
government employees
had something
were
to do with it. They
required for
planned
the
this.
first time to swear
Ooh,
an
see where
oath
he's
to
going?
defend the Constitution
See where they're going
against
already?
all enemies,
It was
foreign
1812, not
and
1814.
domestic. That oath was put to test on January 6, 2021.
Really?
Police officers who held the line that day honored their oath.
How about the
Many
ones who
came
let him in the
out of
building?
that day blooded and broken. They still bear those wounds, visible and invisible. They did their duty.
Invisible.
They repelled the
Invisible.
mob and ended the occupation.
Oh, where's the
of
dude
the
that
Capitol. They defended
where's the camera hog guy? He's
Constitution
missing.
against domestic enemies so that Congress could return, uphold our own oath, and count your votes to ensure the transfer of power, just as we've done for hundreds of years. But unlike in 1814, it was domestic enemies of the
Hang on, I'm gonna
Constitution
minimize
who
this for a
stormed
second.
the Capitol and occupied the Capitol, who sought to thwart the will of the people to stop the transfer of power.
Now,
And so they did.
what did they
at the
really want to do?
encouragement of the President of the United
What did they
States,
want, though? What was the reason they were
President of the
rioting?
United States, trying to stop the transfer of power, a precedent that had stood for 220 years, even as our democracy had
Now
faced its
see,
most
that's a
difficult
different. There's
test.
something different here.
Thinking back again to the Civil War in the summer of 1864, the President of the United States believed we would be doomed to his bid for re-election. He believed his opponent, General George McClellan, would wave the white flag when it came to preserving the Union. But even with that grim fate hanging in the balance, President Lincoln was ready to accept the will of the voters, come what may. He made a quiet pledge. He wrote down the words.
I wonder if the guy from ABC wrote this speech
morning,
for him.
As for some days past, it seems exceedingly probable that this administration will not be reelected. Then it will be my duty to so cooperate with the president-elect. It will be my duty. Lincoln sealed that memo and asked his cabinet secretaries to sign it sight unseen. He asked them to make the same commitment he did, to accept defeat, if indeed defeat was the will of the people.
He said
To
duty.
uphold the rule of law, to do what every president who came before him did,
He was thinking about
and
Amber
what every
Heard.
president who followed him would do, until Donald Trump. Donald Trump lost the presidential election in 2020.
But he wanted the
people
counts
voted
to
him
be
out of
counted, even if
office.
he would
It
have
was not
been
because of a
wrong.
rigged system. It was not because of voter fraud. Don't believe me? Hear what his former attorney general had to say about it. I warn those who watching that this
Hello, Lord Stanhope.
contains strong language.
Oh, strong language. I wonder if he said damn.
No, just what I've been through. I've had.
See,
I had
now,
three
oh, the
discussions with
producers are
president
putting
that I can
together.
recall. One was on November 23rd. One was on December
Hello,
1st,
Tazzy.
and one was on December
Oh, I already said hi to
14th. And
Tazzy.
I've been through sort of the give and take of those discussions. And in that context, I made it clear I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bullshit. And
That's strong
I didn't want to
language.
be a part of it.
Hello,
and that's
lunatic.
one of
What's
the
up?
reasons that went into me deciding to leave when I did. I observed, I think it was on December 1st, that how can you can't live in a world where the incumbent administration stays in power based on its view, unsupported by specific evidence, that there was fraud in the election.
Bill Barr, on Election Day 2020,
This is all
he was
orchestrated.
the Attorney General
Oh,
of the
man.
United States, the top law enforcement official in the country, telling the president exactly what he thought about claims of a stolen election. Donald Trump had his days in court to challenge the results. He was within his rights to seek those judgments. In the United States, law-abiding citizens have those tools for pursuing justice.
Oh, at least he says he's allowed to do it.
In the courts, just as he did at
The court's never heard the
box.
cases, but that's
And in
okay.
this
We'll
country,
keep
That's
talking,
the
saying
end
that.
of the line.
Hello, Tyre.
But for
There you
Donald
go,
Trump,
Tyre.
that was only the beginning of what became a sprawling, multi-step conspiracy aimed at overturning the presidential election, aimed at throwing out the votes of millions of Americans, your votes, your voice in our democracy, and replacing the will of the American people with his will to remain in power after his term ended. Donald Trump was at the center of this conspiracy.
Conspiracy.
Ultimately,
Oh, he's using the
Donald
word
Trump,
conspiracy.
President of the United States, spurred a mob of domestic enemies of the Constitution to march down the Capitol and subvert American democracy.
Did he now? Now remember.
Any legal jargon
Remember
you
what
hear
time.
about seditious conspiracy,
Remember what time.
obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States boils down to this. January 6th was the culmination of an attempted coup, a brazen attempt,
Strong words.
as one rioter put it shortly after January 6th, to overthrow the government. The violence was no accident. It represents Senate Trump's last stand,
Tires.
most desperate
Tires.
chance to
Type something in the
halt
chat real
the
quick.
transfer of power. Now, you may hear those words and think, this is just another political attack on Donald Trump by people who don't like him.
Well, what is it?
That's not the case.
Well, then how come you don't have anyone
My
on this committee
colleagues
that
and I all wanted an outside independent commission to
Mm.
investigate January 6th, similar to what we had after 9/11. But after first agreeing to the idea, Donald Trump's allies in Congress put a stop to it. Apparently, they don't want January 6th investigated at all. And in the last 17 months, many of those same people
There you
have
go.
tried to whitewash what happened on January 6th, to rewrite history, call it a tourist visit, label it legitimate political discourse. Donald Trump and his followers
they
have
were talking
adopted
about the
words of
protest.
songwriter, do you believe me or your lying eyes? We can't sweep what happened under the rug. The American people deserve answers. So I come before you this evening, not as a Democrat,
Yes, you
but
do.
as an American who swore an oath to defend the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't protect.
Ladies and
just
gentlemen, welcome to
Democrats
Cannon Hotep
or
to the
just
stream.
Republicans.
What's up, my man?
What's
Protects
going on?
we the people. And this scheme was an attempt to undermine the will of the people. So tonight,
see what he's doing there? He's
and over the next
saying that
few
this was a
weeks,
scheme. The
we're going
attack
to
was
remind you
planned
the
by
reality
Donald
of
Trump.
what
This
happened
was
that
a actual
But our work
scheme, a
must do much
conspiracy.
more than just look backwards.
Whatever happened to
Because
Discovery?
our
Like,
democracy
Say what?
remains in
whatever happened to
danger.
like Discovery? Like, actually just telling the
Thought
truth
will of
about
the
it.
people
You
is
know,
not
like
open.
you could tell this is a
And
concerted
those in
effort
this
to
audience
make sure he doesn't run.
for power
Oh, absolutely.
have
That's
no
all it is. And the
love
reason they're
or
doing it in prime
respect
time is
for
because
what
they
makes
want to see
America
it, try,
great.
get more people to see it. Now,
Devotion
I'm
to the
curious though,
Constitution,
who's
allegiance
actually
to the
watching
rule
this
of law,
mess?
our shared journey to
That's the
build
thing.
a more perfect union.
Nobody's watching it on
January
C-SPAN or
6th,
whoever else they're using. You know,
lies
they
that
watching
led
it through people like us.
to insurrection
Well, I would think
have
so. In
put
fact, I'm going to go look on some
2.5
other channels here.
centuries
See
I know
if
Nate the lawyer. He's up.
democracy at risk.
Nate's got
The
it going.
world is
Yeah, he's
watching.
got a
us.
stream. That's the only one I've seen so far.
America has long been expected to be a shining city on the hill, a beacon of hope and freedom, a model for others.
You
when we
know,
are at our best.
if it's not like people
How can
who are
we
out here
play
to
that
analyze
role
it like
when our
us,
house is in such
or people who are
disorder?
just chomping at the
We
bit
must
to
confront the
get
truth,
Donald
yeah.
Trump.
candor, resolve, and
No one's going to listen to
determination.
this. This is
We need to
boring.
show
He's
that we are
boring.
worthy
He's
of the
boring.
gifts
So
that
hopefully
are
this
put
producer from
forth of
ABC
every
got
American.
him a little excitement or
That
something going.
begins here.
I don't know.
And
Yeah, I'm
it
about to
begins
say they hired a producer, right, for this
on it,
for
what
this
happened,
sham.
what
And look what they
Yes.
did. They tout out the token black man to give the opening remarks.
Well, Benny Thompson's the chairman of the committee, though.
Oh, he is the chairman.
He's
Okay.
the chair. Now you got to remember who Benny Thompson is, though. Benny Thompson is one of the ones who,
working alongside
in 2016,
on this DS
tried
has
to
been one of the
deny
greatest
Donald Trump his
honors of my
delegates. He was
time
one of the
in
ones who voted no,
Congress.
and
Right,
so
I
is
remember that,
particular privilege
Jamie
to count
Raskin
as
too.
a partner in this
Yeah.
effort and to count as a friend. The gentlewoman from Wyoming.
Look at this. Adam Schiff is shifty.
He's a
So
patriot,
Liz Cheney, a
public servant,
rhino.
found courage.
Well, she's not
a devotion
I would say
to her
rhino, but
oath
she's definitely
and the
never Trumper.
Constitution.
She hates Donald
It's my
Trump.
pleasure to recognize Ms. Cheney.
So let's
for
see
her
what she's got
opening
to say.
statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And let me echo those words about the importance of bipartisanship and what a tremendous honor it is to work
this
on
is
this
not
committee.
bipartisanship. You got two
Mr. Chairman,
Republicans
at
handpicked by Nancy
6:01 p.m.
Pelosi.
on January 6th, after he spent hours watching a violent mob besiege, attack, and invade our Capitol, Donald Trump tweeted, but he did not condemn the attack. Instead, he justified it.
What?
These are the things
He
and
came out on TV, which they tried to get that off the internet. It wasn't just a tweet.
Stripped away.
I remember him seeing on TV.
Okay, now look at
who've been
this.
Badly and unfairly treated for so long. As you will see in the hearings to come,
Go home with
President
love and
Trump
peace. He told him to
believed
go
his
home.
supporters at the Capitol, and I quote, "We're doing what they should be doing."
Mm.
This is what he told his staff as they pleaded with him to call off the mob, to instruct his supporters to leave. Over a series of hearings in the coming weeks, you will hear testimony, live and on video, from more than half a dozen former White House staff in the Trump administration, all of whom were in the West Wing of the White House on January 6th. You will hear testimony that, quote, "The president did not really want to put anything out, calling off the riot or asking his supporters to leave."
He literally came on television.
Trump was yelling.
And they removed
quote,
it from Twitter.
Really
Immediately.
angry at advisors who
He
told him
immediately removed
he
it.
needed to be doing something more. And aware of the rioters' chance to hang Mike Pence, the president responded
Yes,
with
I
this
think they were
sentiment,
seriously going to do
quote,
that, right?
"Maybe our supporters
Those
have the
gallows
right
were real.
idea.
They were really going to hang
Mike
Mike Pence.
quote, deserves it." You will hear evidence
Let us see that tweet though, Liz. She just
do it
said that he
fast.
said something with no receipt.
Many of his other advisors
Well, she
begged
says
him
there's
to do.
people going to testify to that.
Immediately instruct his supporters to stand down and evacuate the Capitol.
He did.
Tonight, you will see never before seen footage of the brutal attack on our Capitol. An attack that unfolded while a few blocks away, President Trump sat watching television
footage
in the dining room next to the Oval Office. You will hear audio from the brave police officers battling for their lives and ours, fighting to defend our democracy against a violent mob Donald Trump refused to call off. Tonight and in the
He
weeks
called
to
him off on Twitter and he called him
we'll
off
see
on
evidence of
television.
what motivated this violence
Nobody aired it.
directly from those who participated in this attack. You will see video of them explaining what caused them to do it. You
Will we
their
see footage of
we will
the
show
Capitol
you
Police
what they
opening the
said
stanchions
at
and allowing
report.
people to the front door?
On this
You know they're
point,
not going to show
there is
that.
no
They're not going to
room
show
for debate.
anything that doesn't fit their
Those who
narrative.
invaded our Capitol
Are we
and
going to see footage of them opening up the cattle gates
by
and
what
letting people
President
through
Trump
on the streets?
Nope.
that the election was stolen
Uh-huh.
and that he
Are we
was the
going to see
right
the footage where they were praying inside of the chamber and not
assembled
messing it up?
and lit the
Or
flame
the- or
of
the-
this attack.
Are they going to show footage of them
You will
walking
also
between
hear
the
about
velvet
plots
ropes,
to
not
commit
going
seditious
outside the
conspiracy
ropes?
on January 6th, a crime defined in our laws
Real quick.
as conspiring to overthrow,
God, I got your
put down,
Streamlabs here. I'll
or destroy by
read it in a
force
second.
the government of the United States, or to oppose by force the authority thereof. Multiple members of two groups, the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, have been charged with
Keepers, though?
for their
Yeah,
involvement
they're
in the
charging
events
them
leading up
finally.
to and on
It's
January
just
6th. Some have pled guilty.
Pled
The
guilty
attack on
because
our
they've been
Capitol was not a
threatened.
spontaneous riot.
You-
Intelligence available
This is the
before
thing.
January 6th
When people plead guilty, sometimes it's because the government has unlimited resources,
occupy the Capitol
They threaten
and
their
take other
families.
steps
Why do you think
time,
Flynn
time and
was-
money. They got
of
nothing but time and money.
that day.
And those people, you thought those people really gonna be able to fight that case?
We will identify elements of those plans, and we will show specifically how a group of Proud Boys led a mob into the Capitol building on January 6th.
How and then
Very
you know, ironically, their leader
of what our
just so happens to
committee
get
learned, highlighted
arrested the day
findings
before, quote unquote,
this month
arrested.
in our hearings.
The
Right.
day
But
before.
they
Did
charged
you
him
hear
too,
this? All Americans should
And
keep
he's
in
might be one of
fact
the
in
ones who
mind
pled
this
guilty
fact.
because he got a
On the
deal.
morning of January 6th,
Wasn't
President
he an
Donald
informant?
Trump's intention was
Yes.
to remain president of
Yes.
the United States, despite the lawful outcome
Sounds like a
of the
setup to me.
2020 election, and in violation of his constitutional obligation to relinquish power. Over multiple months, Donald Trump oversaw and coordinated a sophisticated 7-part plan to overturn the presidential election and prevent the transfer of presidential power. In
And
our
yet,
hearings, you
there
will
was
see
a
evidence
peaceful
of each
transfer of
element of this
power.
plan. In our second hearing, you will see that Donald Trump and his advisors knew that he had in fact lost the election. But despite this, President Trump engaged in a massive effort to spread false and fraudulent information to convince huge portions of the US population that fraud had stolen the election from him. This was not true.
So, question, right?
Jason Miller
Everybody
was
on this committee,
Trump
are all these people
campaign
in lockstep?
in this clip.
think?
Yes.
Miller
Yes. Oh, yeah.
describes a
Oh, no,
call
it's
between the Trump
it's 7
campaign's
Democrats,
internal data expert
Cheney
and
and
President
Kinzinger,
Trump
who
a
are
few days after the
absolutely
2020 election.
never Trumpers.
So
They vote-
nothing's going to be contested by
voted to
anyone.
impeach.
They're just going to push their one-sided
Oh,
agenda.
hang on a second.
And
Who is this? Oh, this is
at some
Jason
point in the
Miller.
conversation, Matt Oskowski, who is the lead data person, was brought on. And I remember he delivered to the president pretty blunt terms that he was going to lose.
And that was based, Mr. Miller, on Matt and the data team's assessment of the sort of county by county, state by state results as reported.
Correct.
That's leading. That's
Yes.
leading.
Alex Cannon was one of President Trump's campaign lawyers.
And you know what?
Previously worked
They're
for the
gonna-
Trump
and
organization.
Listen, they're
One
only
of his
going to do
responsibilities
snippets of
was to
testimony.
assess
Now I'm
allegations
going
of election
to go
fraud
check
in
Jason
November
Miller tomorrow
2020.
on Getter
Here is
and
one
see if
sample
what
of
he
his
says his
testimony
entire
discussing
testimony
what he
was.
told
They're going to
White
show out
House
one
Chief of
sentence at a
Staff,
time.
Mark
Are you
Meadows.
kidding me? They're going to show one sentence at a time that's in
I
their
remember
favor.
a call with Mr. Meadows, where Mr. Meadows was asking me what I was finding and if I was finding anything. And I remember sharing with him that we weren't finding anything that would be sufficient to change the results in any of the key states.
When was that conversation?
Probably in November, mid to late November. I think it was before my child was born.
And what was Mr. Meadows' reaction to that information?
I believe the words he used were, so there's no there there.
There's no there. The Trump campaign's general counsel, Matt Morgan, gave similar testimony. He explained that all of the fraud allegations and the campaign's other election arguments taken together and viewed in the best possible light for President Trump could still not change the outcome of the election. President Trump's Attorney General Bill Barr also told Donald Trump his election claims were wrong.
Okay,
So
we
just
already-
number 10.
Told the president in no uncertain terms that I did not see evidence of fraud and that would have affected the outcome of the election. And frankly, a year and a half later, I haven't seen anything to change my mind on that.
Attorney General Barr also told President Trump that his allegations about Dominion
Hello,
voting
Duncan
machines
felonies.
were groundless.
They're groundless, but doesn't mean that it's not true.
I saw absolutely zero basis for
Well,
the
he saw zero
allegations,
basis, and
but they
then
were made in such a sensational way that they obviously were influencing a lot of people, members of the public, that there was this systemic corruption in the system and that their votes didn't count and that these machines controlled by somebody else were actually determining it,
see, I
which
don't
was
think it had
complete
anything to do with the machines
nonsense.
either.
And it was being
But I
laid
am
out
interested
there. And
in
I told
the.
them that it was crazy
I haven't.
stuff.
Have you
And
seen
they were wasting their
Dinesh
time on
D'Souza's
it.
movie yet?
Yeah, I've
And
seen it.
it was
I
doing
haven't seen it.
grave,
I gotta
grave
go watch
disservice
that.
to the country.
Yeah, it's a must watch, man. It's a real eye
President
opener.
Trump
I'll
persisted
put
Okay.
it like that.
repeating the
All right.
false Dominion allegations in public at least a
Yeah,
dozen more times,
I think they made a
even
mistake
after his
talking
attorney
about
general
Dominion, though,
told
because I
him
don't
they
think
were,
that had anything
quote,
to do with it.
complete
But they did
nonsense.
find certain machines that
And
were
after
hooked up
Barr's
to the internet.
resignation
They were
on
hooked up to
December
the,
Yeah,
to the
23rd,
network.
the acting
true.
attorney
And
general
no one
who
wants to talk about
replaced
that,
him,
I
Jeff
know, but I
Rosen,
don't.
and the acting
My-
deputy, Richard Donahue,
Well,
told
I gotta be
President
careful on
Trump
YouTube.
over
Yeah,
and
yeah,
over
yeah,
again
I should
yeah.
put
that
this
the
shit on
evidence did not
Yeah.
support
because
allegations
there's
he
some
was
shit I
making
want
in
to say, but
public.
I can't.
Many of President Trump's White House staff also recognized that the evidence did not support the claims President Trump was making. This is the president's daughter commenting on Bill Barr's statement that the department found no fraud sufficient to
See, they're-
overturn the
now
election.
What does she have to do with any of
They're
it?
they're no, but they interviewed her, and
How did that
they're-
affect your perspective about the
cherry
election when
picking
Attorney General Barr made
statements.
that statement?
It affected my perspective. I respect Attorney
No, Reed, how
General
you
Barr.
doing?
So I accepted what he was saying.
As you will hear on Monday,
By the way,
the
share the
president
stream.
had every right to litigate his campaign claims, but he ultimately lost more than 60 cases in state and federal courts. The president's claims in the election cases were so frivolous and unsupported that the president's lead lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, not only lost the lawsuits, his license to practice law was suspended.
That's irrelevant.
Here's what the court
is very
said
irrelevant.
to Giuliani. Giuliani communicated demonstrably false and misleading statements to courts, lawmakers, and the public at large in his capacity as lawyer for former President Donald
This the
J.
Ninth Circuit Court they talking about?
Campaign.
No,
in
that was
connection
in.
with
Oh,
Trump's
it's the New York
failed
Supreme
effort
Court. I'm
at
sorry.
re-election
It
in
wasn't.
2020.
I think it was in the.
As you will see in great
11th.
detail in our hearings, President Trump ignored the rulings of our nation's courts. He ignored his own campaign leadership, his White House staff, many Republican state officials. He ignored the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security. President Trump invested millions of dollars of campaign funds purposely spreading false information, running ads he knew were false, and convincing millions of Americans that the election was corrupt and that he was the true president. As you will see, this misinformation campaign provoked the violence on January 6th. In our third hearing, you will see that President Trump corruptly planned to replace the Attorney General of the United States so the U.S. Justice Department would spread his false stolen election claims. In the days before January 6th, President Trump told his top Justice Department officials, quote, "Just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman." Senior Justice
Oh,
Department
he's going to try to
officials,
drag in some
men he
Republican
had appointed,
congressmen.
told him they could not do that because it was not true. So President Trump decided to replace them. He offered Jeff Clark, an environmental lawyer at the Justice Department, the job of acting Attorney General. President Trump wanted Mr. Clark to take a number of steps, including sending this letter to Georgia and 5 other states, saying the U.S. Department of Justice had, quote, identified significant concerns that may have impacted the outcome of the election.
Which states were those?
This
What
letter
states?
is a lie. The Department of Justice had in fact repeatedly told President Trump exactly the opposite, that they had investigated his stolen election allegations and found no credible fraud that could impact the outcome of the election. This letter and others like it would have urged multiple states to withdraw their official and lawful electoral votes for Biden.
Now, I think that would have been
Acting
wrong. I
Deputy
think
Attorney
what he
General
should have
Richard
said is, you know
Donahue
what, we want
described
to
Jeff Clark's
challenge
letter
these
this
results
way,
in these states
quote,
and then
"This would be
you
a
know,
grave step
right.
for
do it the
department
proper
to
way.
take
But
and could have tremendous constitutional, political,
again,
and
this is
social
not what the January
ramifications
6th
for this
committee is
country." The committee agrees with Mr. Donahue's
They're
assessment
saying that he
that Clark
caused the
assumed
riot
the
on
role of
purpose,
Attorney
though.
General in the days before
But that's what it should be in.
It
If
should
I'm
be
not mistaken,
ramifications.
wasn't that what the last impeachment was about?
Yes.
Mr. Donahue also
And he beat
said
that, right?
this about Clark's
So
plan.
why the hell are we here now?
Well, because I mean, look, I mean,
And I
the
recall
Republicans
towards
were
the
not
end
going to
saying what you're
allow that to
proposing is
happen.
nothing less than the United States Justice Department meddling in the outcome of the presidential election.
In our hearings, you will hear firsthand how the senior leadership of the Department of Justice threatened to resign, how the White House counsel threatened to resign, and how they confronted Donald Trump and Jeff Clark in the Oval Office. The men involved, including Acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen and Acting Deputy Attorney General Richard Donahue, were appointed by President Trump. These men honored their oaths of office, they did their duty, and you will hear from them in our hearings. By contrast, Jeff Clark has invoked his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and refused to testify.
So,
Representative Scott Perry, who is also involved in trying to get Clark appointed as Attorney General, has refused to testify here. As you will see, Representative Perry contacted the White House in the weeks after January 6th to seek a presidential pardon. Multiple other Republican congressmen also
why? He wasn't charged
sought
with
presidential
anything.
pardons for their roles in attempting to overturn the 2020 election. In our fourth hearing, we will focus on President Trump's efforts to pressure
This
Vice
will be
President Mike
interesting.
Pence.
So they're going to try to say
refuse
that
to
the
count
Congress
electoral
people were
votes on January
involved.
6th. Vice
This
President
is
Pence.
interesting how they're doing this before the primaries. I mean, for the before
Well,
midterms.
You know what? You know why they do this.
Yeah, we already know.
Wrong. I had no right to overturn the election. The presidency belongs to the American people and the American people alone. And frankly, there is no idea more un-American than the notion that any one person could choose the American president.
What President Trump demanded that Mike Pence do wasn't
Look.
just wrong, was illegal,
Pence
and it was
did his job, though.
unconstitutional.
I don't have any
You will
problem
hear
with
this
Pence.
in
I mean,
great detail from the Vice President's former
that's-
general counsel. Witnesses in these
Holy
hearings
shit.
will explain how the former Vice President and his staff informed President Trump over and over again that what he was pressuring Mike Pence to do was illegal. As you will hear, President Trump engaged in a relentless effort to pressure Pence.
So this
both in
hearing is
private
going to be
and in
all
public.
about Trump, though.
You will see the
Interesting.
evidence of that pressure from multiple witnesses, live and on video. Vice President Pence demonstrated his loyalty to Donald Trump consistently over 4 years, but he knew that he had a higher duty to the United States Constitution. This is testimony from the Vice President's Chief of Staff.
So I think the vice president was proud of his 4 years of service, and he felt like much had been accomplished in those 4 years. And I think he was proud to have stood beside the president for all that had been done. But I think he ultimately knew that his fidelity to the Constitution was his first and foremost oath. And that's what he articulated publicly, and I think that that's what he felt.
His fidelity to the Constitution was more important than his fidelity to President Trump and his
The
desire.
oath he took. Yep.
Yes.
You'll also
I
hear
guarantee some of these people that they interviewed are like, wait. No, that's taken way out of context.
deeply
You know what
involved
I
in
mean?
President Trump's plans.
Like
Or
you said, they
well,
So
cherry
they're
here's
cherry
picking.
former
picking. They're
Fourth
cherry picking
Circuit federal
sentences. We'll
judge
see how
Michael
far they
Lewis,
go in these
a highly
testimonies.
respected leading conservative judge. John Eastman clerked for Judge Ludig. Judge Ludig provided counsel to the vice president's team in the days before January 6th. The judge will explain how Eastman, quote, was wrong at every turn. And you will see the email exchanges between Eastman and the vice president's counsel as the violent attack on Congress was underway. Mr. Jacob said this to Mr.
The
Eastman.
attack on the
Thanks
Capitol
to your
happened
bullshit, we are under siege.
before the
You will also
president
see
was
evidence that
done
John Eastman
speaking.
did not actually believe the legal position he was taking. In fact, a month before the 2020 election, Eastman took exactly the opposite view on the same legal issues. In the course of the Select Committee's work to obtain information from Mr. Eastman, we have had occasion to present evidence to a federal judge. The judge evaluated the facts, and he reached the conclusion that President Trump's efforts to pressure Vice
A
President
judge.
Pence
Which
to act
judge?
illegally by
Which
refusing
judge?
to count
So
electoral
they found a
likely
judge
violated 2 federal
It's
criminal
probably the judge they just put in the Supreme Court.
and the judge
because
also said
notice if
Dr.
this is a
Eastman
committee that
and
just
President Trump's plan had
Oh.
worked, it would
Yeah.
have permanently ended the peaceful transition of power, undermining American democracy and the Constitution.
oh
If
democracy.
the country does not commit to investigating and pursuing accountability for those responsible,
What happened to my
Just
thing?
4
protected
years,
California.
January 6th will repeat itself. Every American should read what this federal
What
judge
the hell's
has
going on
written.
here?
The same judge, Judge Carter, issued
Oh.
another decision on Tuesday night. just
There we
this
go.
week,
Democracy. I
indicating
bell
that
every
John
time they say
Eastman
democracy.
and other Trump lawyers knew
Should I
that
break
their
out my
legal
whiskey?
Oh, I have mine right here.
Oh, you got some?
Let
Let me join the party.
try to quote
Let me join
overturn
in.
the Democratic election. And you will hear that while Congress was under attack on January 6th and the hours following the violence, the Trump legal team in the
Guess I'm
Willard
doing a little Elijah Craig today.
to work
Oh, I
to
got-
halt the count
I
of
got me
electoral votes.
the Rittenhouse rhyme.
In our 5th hearing, you will see evidence that President Trump corruptly pressured
It's
state
actually pretty good.
legislators
For
and
100
election
proof, it's really
officials
smooth.
to change election results. You will hear additional details about President Trump's call to Georgia officials, urging them to, quote, find
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
780 votes, votes that did not exist, and his efforts to get states to rescind
again,
certified
that's
electoral slates
bullshit too.
without
Good
factual
gracious.
basis and contrary to law. You will hear new details about the Trump campaign and other Trump associates' efforts to instruct Republican officials in multiple states to create intentionally false electoral slates and transmit those slates to Congress, to the Vice President and the National Archives, falsely certifying that Trump won states he actually lost. In our final 2 June hearings, you will hear how President Trump summoned a violent mob and directed them illegally to march on the United States Capitol.
Oh.
While the violence was underway, President Trump failed to take immediate action to stop the violence and instruct his supporters to leave the Capitol. As we present these initial findings, keep 2 points in mind.
There won't be a single Republican
First,
to refute any
Our
of this.
investigation is still ongoing. So what we make public here will not be the complete set of information we will
Oh, but there's
ultimately
always
disclose.
more.
And second, the Department of Justice is currently working with cooperating witnesses and
Hello,
has
Talik, how
disclosed
you
to
doing?
date only some of the information it has identified from encrypted communications and other sources. On December 18th, 2020, a group
they're
including
doing 6 of
General
these
Michael
during the month
Flynn,
of June.
Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani, and others visited the White House. They stayed late into the evening. We know that the group discussed a number of dramatic
Wait,
steps.
they stayed late until the
including
evening?
having the military seize voting machines and potentially rerun elections. You will also hear that President Trump met with that group
I heard that.
alone for a period of time before White House lawyers and other staff discovered the group was there and rushed to intervene. A little more than an
This
hour
is true, Beth.
after
We're
Ms.
only gonna
Powell,
hear-
Mr. Giuliani, General Flynn, and
You're
the
only gonna
others
write bullshit.
finally left the White House, President Trump
Oh, man.
sent the tweet on the screen now, telling people to come to Washington on January 6th. Be there, he instructed them. Will be wild. As you will see, this was a pivotal moment. This tweet initiated a chain of events. The tweet led to the planning for what occurred on January 6th, including by the Proud Boys,
Oh, my
who
God. Hello,
ultimately led
Richard.
the
How you
invasion
doing?
of the Capitol and the violence on that day. The indictment of a group of Proud Boys alleges that they
I wonder if
planned
they're going to bring up the fact
posed
that
by
he asked for what,
support
1,000?
government of the United States.
1,000 National Guard to be there?
According to the Department of
To make sure
Justice,
stuff didn't get out of hand? 10,000. I'm
January
sorry. Thank you
6th,
for the correction.
2021, the defendants directed,
Are we going to
mobilized,
discuss that
and
Nancy
led
Pelosi said no
members of the
because she
crowd
didn't like
onto
the
Capitol
optics of
grounds
it?
and to the Capitol, leading to the dismantling of metal
Are they going to
barricades,
discuss that Mario
destruction of
Bowser
property,
refused to have
Capitol building, and the
DC
assault
Metro
on
there
law
helping?
Although certain former
She
Trump
didn't call
officials
him until after the
they
fact?
did not anticipate violence on January 6th, the evidence suggests otherwise. As you will see in our hearings, the White House was receiving
We'll cherry pick
specific
every word we
reports
can.
in the days leading up to January 6th, including during President Trump's Ellipse rally, indicating that elements in the crowd were preparing for violence at the Capitol.
And they wanted
And
more
on the
security.
evening of January 5th,
Wait a minute.
the president's
If they
close
knew
advisor,
this,
Steve Bannon,
why didn't
said
anybody want
this
security
on his
then?
podcast.
My question is,
all hell
none of this
to break loose tomorrow. Just understand this. All hell is going to break loose tomorrow.
As part of our investigation,
Wait a minute.
about what the White House and other intelligence
is
agencies
that what we were?
and why the Capitol was not better prepared.
We wasn't going to hear the rest of that
That's like,
statement.
Not lose sight
That's
of the
like
fact
very
that the
fine
Capitol
people.
Police
Very
did not
fine people. There are
cause the
very
crowd
fine
to
people on
attack.
both sides.
And we
That's-
will
that's
not
what that
blame
statement
the
was.
violence
The
that
funny
day.
part is that
Violence
a
provoked by
crazed
Donald Trump
gunman
on the
went to the
officers
Republican
who
baseball
defended
practice
all of us.
and shot
In our final hearing,
uh,
we'll hear a moment-by-moment account
a congressman,
Steve Scalise.
from more than
Steve
half
Scalise,
a dozen White House
and a couple of the
and
police
via
officers that put him
video
down. They got hit.
There's no
We didn't
doubt
do this for Bernie Sanders.
where the violence as it
No.
developed.
No, they didn't.
White
In
House
fact, what Bernie Sanders said, he said, if I was responsible for everything that
the mob.
somebody that supported
Here's
me
a
did, it'd be a very rough life or some shit
While
like
the
that.
attack was
Yep.
underway by a member of the White House staff,
Nobody
advised
blamed Bernie Sanders for what that person did.
anyone who entered the Capitol without proper authority should leave immediately. This is exactly what his supporters on Capitol Hill and nationwide were urging the president to do. He would not. You will
did.
hear that leaders on Capitol Hill begged the president for help, including Republican leader McCarthy, who was, quote, scared, and called multiple members of President Trump's family after he could not persuade the president himself.
It's funny how they're having her do this.
Not
though,
only did President
Right.
Trump refuse to tell the mob to leave the
because she has that
Capitol,
R, so they
he
want to make it
placed
seem bipartisan.
no call to
Yep.
any element of the United States government to instruct that the Capitol be defended. He did not call his Secretary of Defense on January 6th. He did not talk to his Attorney
Who
General.
would call the
He
secretary?
did not
Who's in
talk to
charge of the
Department
Capitol
Homeland Security.
security?
President Trump gave no order
Not
to
the
deploy
president,
the National
that's
Guard that
Pelosi.
day.
Not the president, Nancy Pelosi.
No effort
And
to work with the
McConnell.
Department of Justice to coordinate and
The
disperse
same Nancy Pelosi
law enforcement
who refused to allow the National Guard
hence
to
each of
to
those things.
assist.
Wow.
For example, here is what General Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of
Wow.
Staff, testified. to
General
this
Milley,
committee.
he's a never Trumper.
Yep.
There was
He wasn't.
2 or 3 calls with Vice President Pence. He was very animated, and he issued very explicit, very
Oh my God.
direct, unambiguous orders. There was no question about that. And he was, and I can get you the exact quotes, I guess, from some of our records somewhere, but he was very animated, very direct, very firm, and to Secretary Miller. Get the military down here, get the Guard down here, put down this situation, et cetera.
By
Hey, keep it down.
contrast, here is General Milley's description of his conversation with President Trump's Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, on January 6th.
He said, we have to kill the narrative that the vice president is making all the decisions. We need to establish the narrative that, that the president is still in charge and that things are steady or stable or words that way. I immediately interpret that as politics, politics, politics. Red flag for me personally, no action, but I remember it distinctly.
And you will hear from witnesses how the day played out inside the White House, how multiple White House staff resigned in disgust, and how President Trump would not ask his supporters to leave the Capitol. It was only after multiple hours of violence that President Trump finally released a video instructing the riotous mob to leave. And as he did so, he said to them, quote, "We love you, and you're very special." You will also hear
What do you want him to
that in the
say?
immediate aftermath of January
They
6th,
want to throw fighting words at the public.
White House staff
Right.
and others tried to step in to stabilize the situation, quote, to land the plane before the presidential transition on January 20th. You will hear about members of the Trump cabinet discussing the possibility of invoking the 25th Amendment and replacing the President of the United States. Multiple members of President Trump's own cabinet resigned immediately after
So
January.
he already lost the election.
Cabinet suggested that the remaining cabinet officers needed to take a more active role in running the White House and the administration.
Oh, Selector
But
Boy.
most emblematic of those days is this exchange of texts between Sean Hannity and former President Trump's press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany. Sean Hannity wrote in part, "Key now, no more crazy people, no more stolen election talk. Yes, impeachment and 25th Amendment are real. Many people will quit." Ms. McEnany responded in part, "Love that. That's the playbook." The White House staff knew that President Trump was willing to entertain and use conspiracy theories to achieve his ends. They knew the president needed to be cut off from all of those who had encouraged him. They knew that President Donald Trump was too dangerous to be left alone.
Again, this
At
is like
least
I
until
said,
he
this
left
is all going
office
to be
on January
narrative
20th.
with
They're acting like he's Dr. No.
Congress and the
This is
American
ridiculous.
people to understand fully. When a president fails to take the steps necessary to preserve our union, or worse, causes a constitutional crisis, we're at a moment of maximum danger for our republic. Some
Was
in the
there
White
a
House
peaceful
took
transfer of
responsible
power?
steps to try to prevent January 6th. Others egged the president on. Others who could have acted refused to do so. In this case,
Squid,
the
they're
White
gonna
House
they're gonna try to
counsel
put out
was
some
so
evidence.
concerned about potentially lawless activity that he threatened to resign multiple times. That is exceedingly rare and exceedingly serious. It requires immediate attention, especially when the entire team threatens to resign.
Hello, legit
However,
low
in the
talker.
Trump White House, it was not exceedingly rare, and it was not treated seriously. This is a clip of Jared Kushner addressing multiple threats by White House counsel Pat Cipollone and his team of lawyers to resign in the weeks before January 6th.
Jared, are you aware of instances where Pat Cipollone threatened to resign?
I kind of, like I said, my interest at that time was on trying to get as many pardons done. And I know that, he was always, him and the team were always saying, oh, we're going to resign. We're not going to be here if this happens, if that happens. So I kind of took it up to just be whining, to be honest with you.
Could it be resigning if Joe got in office?
There's a reason why people serving in our government
Well,
take an oath to the
it was
Constitution.
January. I mean, they were going to have
As
an
our founding
inauguration.
fathers recognized,
What,
democracy
14
is
days
fragile.
later, 2 weeks later?
People in positions of public trust are duty-bound to defend it, to step forward when action is required. In our country, we don't swear an oath to an individual or a political party. We take our oath.
I can't see them resigning if they only got a few days left on the job.
Well, some did. They were scared of
Tonight,
January 6th.
I
I
say this
understand
to my
why they would
Republican
have
colleagues
problems with
who are
January 6th.
defending the indefensible. There will
Of
come a
course, the
day
optics were horrible.
is
No,
gone.
it was terrible. Absolutely. And you don't want to
will
be,
remain.
you don't want that part of your
Finally, I ask all of our fellow Americans, as you watch our hearings over the coming weeks, please remember what's at stake. Remember the men and women who have fought and died so that we can live under the rule of law, not the rule of men. I ask you to think of the scene in our Capitol Rotunda on the night of January 6th. There, in a sacred space in our constitutional republic, the place where our presidents lie in state,
look,
watched over by statues of Washington and Jefferson, Lincoln and Grant,
which
Eisenhower, Ford,
parts
and
are
Reagan.
they going to show?
Against every wall that night encircling the room, there were SWAT teams, men and women in tactical gear with long guns, deployed inside our Capitol building. There in the rotunda, these brave men and women rested beneath paintings depicting the earliest scenes of our republic.
Last I remember, they were rusting beneath parking garages,
depicting George
horrible
Washington
conditions.
resigning his commission, voluntarily relinquishing power,
Hello, ham and
handing
beans.
control of the Continental Army back to Congress. With this noble act, Washington set the indispensable example of the peaceful transfer of power, what President Reagan called nothing less than a miracle.
I swear they're so full.
Sacred obligation to
Well,
defend
they
this
got to make it
peaceful transfer of
theatrical.
power
That's the funny
Oh,
thing.
has been honored by every American president, except one.
They gotta get these money's worth, right? They just hired this producer and everything.
to ensure that what happened on January 6th never happens again, to set aside partisan battles, to stand together to perpetuate and
I'll have
preserve
to keep track of
our
comments
great
here.
republic. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
As we
is Monkey
provide
watching it too? I
answers
didn't
to
know that.
American people about January 6th, it's important that we remember exactly what took place. That this was no tourist visit to the Capitol. Most of the footage we are about to play has never been seen. The select
There's a
committee
lot of footage that
obtained
hasn't been
it
seen.
as
Are
a
you going to
part
show
of
all of
our
it? No, no, no,
investigation.
no. You know,
No, no, of course
This
not.
easy
You better
to
have some edited up footage with some music
warn
behind
everyone
it.
that this video includes violence and strong language. Without objection, I include in the record a video presentation of the violence of January 6th.
Oh, they're going to do a montage.
I told you.
Yeah, just for awareness, be advised, there's probably about 300 Proud Boys. They're marching eastbound in this
Now what's
400
funny
block
is
of kind
these
of
are
Independence,
not
actually on the mall towards the
all
United States
Proud
Capitol.
Boys.
No, of course not. Of
I am
course
not
not.
allowed to say what's going to happen today because everyone's just going to have to watch for themselves. But it's going to happen. Something's going to happen.
So it was a riot. Now it's fascinating too. Are they going to show the guy?
Understand the side. Pick a side. These are our streets. $20 a picture.
They're labeling everybody Proud Boys.
I hope
Where's the
Mike's
guy
gonna do
though? What's
the right thing? I hope so. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states to recertify. And we become president, and you are the happiest people. Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. And if he doesn't, that will be a sad day for our country. Because you'll never take back our
Now
country.
notice this is a mile and a half away from the Capitol.
Right.
That's a mile and a half away from the Capitol.
They must got a hell of a. They got sub 4 minute miles. They running sub 4 minute miles.
Crowd surge heading east.
We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump. We love Trump.
Oh my God!
Joe Biggs is a Proud Boy. Is that right?
I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if
A
you're
mile
not,
and a
I'm
half
gonna
away.
be very
They're making
disappointed
it
in
seem
you.
like
I will
they're
tell you
right
right
next
now.
to each other.
But that's the funny part is that the entrance and everything that was happening down the Capitol, he was still giving his speech.
Well, right. This is 12:54, and at 12:47, a mile and a half away, he was still speaking.
And I don't think he finished speaking until like one something.
Right. And also notice they left out the guy who was telling them to go in there.
Oh yeah,
What's his name?
What's his name? Damn, I forgot it. They kept calling him a Fed.
Madam Speaker, the Vice President.
I wonder where they got all this footage from.
Let me see if I can find it.
I wonder where they got all that footage from.
Ray, what's his name?
Ray Epps. Ray Epps.
Ray Epps, yeah, Ray Epps. They didn't show Ray Epps though.
Of course not.
We're going to get riot warnings. As soon as the hour out of here, we're going to get riot warnings.
And then also,
We're trying to get compliance, but this is now effectively a riot.
49 hours declaring it a riot.
Wait, what time was that?
5 to 50 be advised.
I didn't see that time.
Police
Yeah, this is where Ray Epps was right here.
Yeah.
They didn't show anything about Ray Epps.
We're outside like that. We're trying to make our way through all this.
$149. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks, Q. By the way, real quick, Gunfox61, thanks for the $5 in the super chat. Uh-oh, what happened? Dang it. What the hell happened there? Oh, no. Okay, hang on. I got to fix this because it logged me out. Sorry, Gunfox.
Breach of the Capitol. Breach of the Capitol.
Now, look. Oh, they look.
They're requesting
Why are they going in so
additional resources
orderly?
on the east
That's
side
weird.
as they've broken into that window and they're trying to kick it in.
They went in awfully orderly. That was kind of weird.
Except for the people coming through the window.
Except, yeah,
Without
that's
objection,
true.
the chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
Thank you, Gunfox61, who says,
To do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate
he's just reading tweets, so.
Right.
previously certified. U.S. demands the truth.
Real quick. Thank you, Gunfox, who says, purge all commies, Democrats are heretics, all hail the glorious American empire. Wood chipper Minecraft mod coming soon, commies for wood chipper. Remember, feed them, feed first for better service. Okay, Marty, those two Republicans are in name only. Gunfox, I'm going to mildly disavow. What?
There's my yo. I'm sorry. I still stand by what I said. When I first saw this, I was sitting at my desk at the time, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is a trap. Something doesn't seem right." But then I start seeing live footage of people being let in. You know what I mean? I seen live footage of people handing out weapons from the basement out of a window.
Here, I'm trying to turn you up a little bit here.
Okay, maybe I can. I seen, live footage of people, handing out blunt objects out of a window, out of a basement window. And I'm just sitting there like, this is a trap. This is a trap. What are you guys doing? You know what I mean? And
no, it looked awful from the beginning, and we're like, why are you doing this? This is absolutely a trap. It was almost like an op.
House members, they're all walking over now through the tunnels.
There, I adjusted it. It was my mistake.
Okay, not a problem.
We need to hold the doors of the Capitol. I need court support.
Understand this, people. They wanted this to happen. That was the reason why they didn't want the National Guard there. That was the reason why Muriel Bowser refused to send the Metropolitan Police in there. Right? The extra police that he asked for, the extra troops that he asked for. That was the reason, because they wanted these optics.
Yep.
I'm convinced that not everybody here acting is a supporter of Donnie T. That was proven with the kid that who was the kid that was like, we did it. He was on camera.
Oh, Jonathan, whatever his name is.
Yeah, whatever his name is. That proved it right there. Not to mention the people that was coming in through the stanchions. Not to mention the people that was just inside of the chambers praying. That's especially with the people where they let them through the cattle gates. Like, come on through. They just opened them for him. I saw this live as it was happening, and I'm yelling. I'm yelling at my screen like it's a trap. It's a trap. Like, what are you guys doing?
Now, why? Now, did you see what that was? Did you see those doors opening?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't open that metal door themselves. They didn't let themselves in there. That door was a electronic door.
That's an electron. I'm strong and I can't open an electronic bay door like that. No.
Right. Real quick. Thank you, Selected Boy, who says, what I don't understand is how was the Capitol breached if they let them in? Well, in some places it was breached. Some places they let them in. It wasn't on one side they were breaking in.
Yeah. Now, I think legitimately people were breaking in to certain parts, but I think the people that were breaking in were bad actors, I guess you could say, or we'll call them glowies. I think some of them people were glowies. It's just a lot of this stuff didn't add up. So just as they're getting ready to vote on recertifying and sending this to the states, right? Just as they're voting on that, right? That's when all of a sudden these people breached the Capitol. Right at that moment.
Yep.
And they had to put it on hold. It was pretty interesting timing that happened.
Well,
pretty
it's perfect
interesting timing to me, people.
Perfect timing.
Like,
But no,
threw him some bail.
Yeah. Well, these idiots too. I mean, they should have known better. They knew this was just, the optics were never going to be right.
You're 100% right. I'd have never carried my tail down there. Period.
Nope.
Period.
You know, and a lot of people did. They went from the speech and went back to the hotel, and then they didn't find out about this until after it was on. They saw it on TV.
Right. I'd have never went down there. I'm like, you guys are crazy if you go down there. You're gonna get caught up. You're gonna get caught up. My mother called me. My mother called me the day after because there was a picture of some guy from the rear that kind of looked like me. Even I had to squint, like, damn, that do kind of look like me a bit. I was like, were you down there? Were you in there? I'm like, no, I was at work. Like, I talked to you from work. And then she sends me a screenshot. And I'm like, holy ass, that guy kind of does look like me from the rear. I'm like, Mom, I got tattoos on my arms. That guy does it. What are you talking about? She's like, oh. I was like, you really think that I would go down there, Ma? Like, do you really think I would be a part of that? You think your son's that stupid?
What's up, Rick Ashbringer? How you doing?
Them white people went to get them some freedom.
I had to laugh though because I knew they were going to pull out just. Hang on a second. Turn this back up.
The chair declares the committee in recess for a period of approximately 10 minutes.
So they're going to go into recess. Oh, you know why they do this? So this is it too. This is the theater of this. Here's the theater of this. Okay. The producer from ABC knows that they'll put up the most damning footage they can and they'll go into recess. So all the pundits on all these stations can now put in their 2 cents about this being the most dangerous thing ever. Now, it was a riot. It should have never happened.
Oh yeah, no.
But it's all so you can. It's like when you have a strategy of a lawsuit. Like we've been watching these trials, and some of these lawyers try to stretch it out right to the break so that the jury can have that last image in their mind. So this is clearly just it's all theater. It's
all theater. The minute they said that they were going to have a producer producing this, I was like, here we go. Here we go with the political theater. Here we go with the theatrics. That should be a red flag for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt.
That should be a red flag for you guys. Why do you need a television producer to come and gin up your hearings? Prime time. Start at 8:00. Like it's 2.5 minutes or something. Like this is crazy. This is crazy. Especially the fact that he already beat it in the impeachment, but they can't let it go. You see that the timing. I say it all the time, the timing. Midterms is around the corner. The Democrats are getting their tails handed to them right now.
They're hoping that enough people will pay attention to this, that they'll get some traction. Here's the problem. Nobody's watching this that doesn't already know about it.
Nobody's watching this that don't already have their mind made up.
Right. And that's on both sides of the aisle on this. And people aren't watching this.
Well, the January 6th committee has
CNN
members.
already posted Benny Thompson's opening remarks. They already done it.
change.
They've already done it. They already posted Ivanka Trump's remarks. They already did it.
Who was a
Let's turn this
British filmmaker, is a British
Well, I'm sure that
filmmaker.
I'm sure they've already sent this all out to the networks, though. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah, they had this weeks ago.
They've sent out all these statements to the networks. Let's see. I'm gonna check the chat here. I bet the producer is from either CNN or MSNBC. No, the producer was a former ABC executive, Gun Fox. Let's see. Let me check through here.
In its entirety.
That would not have been allowed in court. Well, yeah, because it's a tiny look. They have 40,000 hours of footage from various cameras, and here, let's turn them down.
It contains all of
here. There we go. Oh shoot! What did I just do? Wait, what the hell happened there? Oh, let's see what the Washington Post is saying. Well, let's see.
So far, on what we've heard from those excerpts.
The Jared Kushner clip where he dismissed all the what he called whining of various White House lawyers who were threatening to resign.
Did he say whining? I don't remember him saying whining.
Attorney General
I don't remember saying that.
used
I didn't listen to
profanity
him very carefully.
to describe telling Trump.
Here's what I do. I'm going to go back to the one I wanted
there
to
was
be on
nothing
anyway. Somehow I got.
his
I
allegations
don't want to
of
be on the
fraud.
Washington Post.
Mark Meadows, White House chief of staff,
How do you get
saying
back?
to one
There
of
we
Trump's own campaign.
I'm going to stick with the C-SPANs, and they're going to take the same break
he
as
put out this tweet, and it's been retweeted.
Oh, here we
And,
go. Wait, House
you can see a
Judiciary
lot of
GOP.
tweets by
If
Republicans
you'd rather
of this
Democrats
vein.
focus on tackling $5 gallon
Retweet.
gas than shift
If you'd
sham
rather
January
Democrats
6th
focus
charade.
on tackling $5 per gallon gas rather than shift sham January 6th charade. Want to remind you.
This is a charade. This is a charade. He's right about that.
All of
He's
the
right about
January
that.
committee hearing video is being provided by C-SPAN as a public service. And C-SPAN is brought to you by these television companies, including Dish
Of
Network.
course they are. But see, that's the thing, right? So at first I was skeptical, right? I stayed up like everybody else. I was watching the the elections, right? Just like everybody else I saw, Donnie T had him by a wide margin, right? All of a sudden they stopped counting. All of a sudden they stopped counting. Never done before.
Not just stop counting. They stopped counting in 6 states all around the same time.
In those 6 states, so what states were those?
Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia.
And they're what, battleground states, right?
Well, all the major battleground states.
Right. They stopped counting, right? I'm like, that's odd. Right? That's odd. Mind you, now a couple of months prior, I'm at work and I see about I call them the penny savers, right? I call them the penny savers. They're not absentees. I call them penny savers. I said, because they're gonna be mailing these out like penny savers, and there's no telling who's gonna fill out how many. Right?
Right.
This is how they're going to do it. This is how they're going to do it. And I was telling my coworkers like, that sounds crazy. I said, think about it. I got a call from my coworker at 10 a.m. He was like, yo, something don't seem right. I think you're right. He said, why would they stop counting? He said, not only that, how come I wake up in the states that he's down bad in, he has now got this huge lead. I said, I told you, this is how they were going to do it. And the crazy part is this is a perfect crime, because once those penny savers are opened and tallied, guess what you can't do? There's no chain of custody. There's no chain of custody of who had it. So now you can't trace it back.
Absolutely not. There is not.
Now you can't trace it back, which tells you that when old Donnie T was trying to rebut all of this and trying to fight it, that's the reason why Barr was like, yo, you don't have a ground to stand on. You don't have a ground to stand on because you can't prove it. You can't prove it.
Right.
Never mind knowing this happened. You can't prove it. And if you can't prove it, there's no point in fighting it.
Well, and so many people, they were getting they were getting ballots mailed to them from people who'd lived in the same place for years earlier. They're getting 4 or 5 ballots from different people, and you don't know there's no chain of custody at all. There's no chain of custody when you mail shit.
I know people who got more than one.
Yep. Here's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweets out, "Good Lord, the way it all comes rushing back into the body. It's like that day all over again." Bitch, you weren't even in the same building. You weren't even there.
It was a
You were
mile
over
away
the
from there.
opposite building, hiding in your bathroom. You didn't see any of this. You crazy.
And I stand by it. The people that was in Pelosi's office, the people, I think they were staged to be there. Photo op. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I watched this live. I seen things that they will never show you again on TV. Because you can't fake live.
Right.
You know what I mean? I seen it.
my.
I seen it, but you never see it again. I watched Donnie T say, "Go home." I seen it, and then it was gone. It was gone.
right?
Nobody played it.
Got rid of it
immediately.
Twitter got rid of it. Scott Pressler, if you know who that is, he's the guy who goes out and registers people. He went out and did that Baltimore cleanup. This isn't moving the needle whatsoever. Tomorrow, Americans will pump gas for $5, $6, and $7. They will pay more dollars for fewer items at the grocery store. Americans know Joe Biden caused this economic crisis. January 6th hearing. Let's see. We're gonna go through some more of these tweets and on the January 6th committee. And it's obviously these are partisan on both sides.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But understand this, people. The way they're going after him for his belief that the November 8th was taken from under his feet, we'll say, right? That's freedom of speech. That's not a call to action. No. I believe this. And if you believe this like I believe this, we need to fight for what we believe in, right? It's America. That's what we're built on.
Hey, now careful. You said the word fight.
However, if you go back to my early Twitters, like I think some of my very first videos were about the impeachment, and his lawyers masterfully had video of all these Democrats using the same term.
All right, fight.
Oh, it was a montage for like 5 minutes, right?
Yep.
But this is America. This is what we built on.
Yep. Joel Pollack I think he's from Breitbart. This is exactly what the Democratic impeachment managers tried to do in the second impeachment before they were upended by the other side of the story.
Yes.
Adam Schiff and Raskin hated the vestige of due process. They finally rid themselves of it by using this committee.
That's facts. And what does this committee actually do? What will this all it does is try to stain the name
because
of Donnie T.
It's not a by the House rules. It's not a
criminal hearing.
As a result of the attack. Thank you all for being here for us and the American
lost their
people.
lives as a result of the attack. The only people who lost their lives
Officer Carolyn Edwards
as a result of the attack were American citizens. They were not officers.
On January
the one
6th,
guy had a heart
Edwards was assigned
stroke the next day, and the other two committed
unit,
suicide.
Which serves as the first line of defense.
And they laid him in state before they found out the autopsy said he
also
lost
as a member
because of a
special
stroke.
Subset.
They probably won't name the girl. What's her name? What's her name? Ashley Babbitt or something like
that.
Or the other woman who now there's
Officer Edwards
it's possible
is a graduate
she was
of the
beaten to death.
University of Georgia.
Right.
Currently,
thank you,
working
Pincalo,
on a
for the
master's
deuce,
degree
who says
in
it is
intelligence
a literal kangaroo court.
John
Yep,
Hopkins
it's a dog and pony show.
This is all this is a dog and pony show.
Absolutely.
Billy Coop said this: if you can't beat your opposition on facts and data, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, you have to destroy their character. You have to assassinate their character. This is what they're doing.
Mr. Quickstead was working on a documentary about, quote,
so these are
why
the two
Americans are
witnesses.
So divided when Americans have so much in common. End quote. During that day,
you gotta be
because you guys spent 4 years trying to get rid of Donald Trump.
People
That's why we're
around
so
the
divided.
Capitol including the first moments of the violence against the Capitol Police and the chaos that ensued. I will now swear in our witnesses. The witnesses will please stand and raise your right hand.
Now, these witnesses already testified, so they're going to testify
Do you
again
swear and affirm
for the
under
Dawg and Pwny
penalty
show.
of perjury
Right.
that the testimony
Do you swear? Do you swear to go over the story that we gave you?
and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Do you swear to stick to the script? This is ridiculous, guys. This is ridiculous.
Reflect the witnesses' answer.
I hope you guys understand that.
Without objection, the witness's statement will be included in the record. Pursuant to Section 5C8 of House Resolution 503, I recognize myself for questioning.
Thank you, Pincalo.
As you
Where's
saw
the Summer
just a
Love
few
Committee?
minutes ago, the Proud Boys instigated the first breach of the Capitol just before 1:00 p.m.
But see, there's no context of the Proud Boys. They just keep throwing it out there.
Ray Epps. Where's Ray Epps? Where is Ray
Our
Epps?
two witnesses tonight
Where is Ray
both
Epps?
there
Who is
at
Ray
the
Epps?
time of that first breach. Officer Edwards
Will
was
they mention Ray
standing
Epps' names?
with other officers behind a line of bike racks that marked the perimeter of the Capitol grounds.
Are they going to
She
show that
bravely
video?
tried to prevent an angry crowd from advancing on the Capitol. Unfortunately, she was overrun and knocked unconscious as the crowd advanced on the Capitol. Mr. Quickstead was a few yards away from Officer Edwards, taking footage of the Proud Boys as part of his work on a documentary film. Most of his footage has never been shown publicly before we shared it this evening. Officer Edwards, I'd like to start by asking if you could tell us why you believe it's important for you to share your story this evening with the committee and the American public. Please, your microphone.
I've done that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
More than once.
I really appreciate it. And thank you to the committee for having me here to testify. I was called a lot of things on January 6, 2021 and the days thereafter. I was called Nancy Pelosi's dog, called incompetent, called a hero, and a villain. I was called a traitor to my country, my oath, and my Constitution. In actuality, I was none of those things.
She's gonna tear up.
I was an American.
Of course she is.
Face to face with other Americans.
Okay, I do got to give
how many
credit to
times,
Mansquatch for the title of this.
many
video- of
times,
this,
how we had
stream.
gotten here. I had been called names before, but never had my patriotism or duty been called into question. I, who got up every day, no matter how early the hour or how late I got in the night before, to put on my uniform and to protect America's symbol of democracy. I, who spent countless hours in the baking sun and freezing snow to make sure that America's elected officials were able to do their job.
Look, I have no problem with this woman
I,
doing her job.
Whose literal blood, sweat, and tears were shed that day defending the building that I spent countless holidays and weekends working in.
But
I am the proud
we are
granddaughter
gonna get a sob
of a
story.
Marine that fought in the Battle of the Chosin Reservoir in the Korean War. I think of my papa often in these days, how he was so young and thrown into a battle he never saw coming and answered the call at a great personal cost. How he lived the rest of his days with bullets and shrapnel in his legs, but never once complained about
We're
his
getting,
sacrifice.
She's
I would like to think that he would be proud of me.
dramatic effects.
Proud of his granddaughter that stood her ground that day and continued fighting, even though she was
I'm
wounded.
sorry, right? Ever since the babies in the incubator stuff, I could never really, I had to always take this stuff with a grain of salt.
Proud to put on a uniform and serve my country.
Wait, say that again.
Ever since the babies in the incubators speech, remember that back back during, was it Desert Storm or something like that, or when Iran and Iraq was going at it, or whatever it was.
My duty.
I had to always take this stuff with a
I'm
grain of
proud of
salt. Ever since I found out about the babies in
gladly
incubators
sacrifice
thing being a
everything
lie.
to make sure that the
'cause
America my
they
grandfather
try to make it the
defended
most
is here for many
dramatic
years.
story they can.
Thank you.
Right. Come to find out, it wasn't even a thing.
Officer Edwards, your story and your service is important. And I thank you for being here tonight. Ms. Quickstead.
Thank you, Tex Bishop.
I also like to ask you to introduce yourself.
Then you got Benny Thompson sound like a Mississippi pastor up here.
In Washington, D.C.
Well,
on
he is from, I
January
think he is from
6th,
Mississippi.
2021.
I think Benny Thompson. Is Benny,
Chair and Madam.
This whiskey and bourbon gonna get to me quick.
I
As
can feel
stated
it
in the
already
winter
too.
of 2020, I was working on a documentary. As part of that documentary, I filmed several rallies in Washington, D.C. on December
Yeah, he is
11th
second
and
district
December the
Mississippi.
12th. And I learned there would be a rally on the Mall on January 6th. So my three colleagues and I
He learned there was gonna be a rally on the mall, so
the event.
the
there was
redacted said, "We need you down here. We need you to bring your camera."
arrived at the mall.
Get it
and
all.
a large contingent of Proud Boys marching towards the Capitol. We filmed them, and almost immediately I was separated
You
from
gotta
my
prove to me that they was Proud Boys. I'm
documented the
sorry.
crowd turn
You gotta
from
prove it to me.
to rioters to insurrectionists. I was surprised at the size of the group, the anger and the profanity.
Insurrectionist.
And for anyone who didn't understand how violent that event was,
You know, it's funny. Insurrectionists with no
saw
weapons.
I documented it, and I
What were they
experienced
Ducking felonies is right. That valid doesn't transfer to you, Karen.
pursuant to a house subpoena. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Quested. The Select Committee has conducted extensive investigative work to understand what led the Proud Boys and other rioters to the Capitol on January 6th. We've obtained substantial evidence showing that the president's December 19th tweet calling his followers to Washington, D.C. on January 6th energized
What's that got to do with anything?
on the Proud Boys and other extremist groups.
He had a rally.
Brief video.
He had a rally on the mall.
Of this evidence.
My name is Marcus Childress, and I'm an investigative counsel for the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol.
What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to
supremacists.
condemn?
White supremacists and white supremacists.
They're gonna bring
Stand
this
back
up.
and stand by.
After he made this comment, Enrique Terrio, then chairman of the Proud Boys, said on Parliament, standing by.
No, he did.
During our investigation,
Oh my
we
God.
learned that this comment during the presidential debate actually led to an increase in membership from the Proud Boys.
Would you say that Proud Boys numbers increased after the stand back, stand by comment?
Exponentially. I'd say tripled probably.
Who was this guy?
More eventually.
He's
And did you
a
ever
Proud Boy, I guess.
sell any stand back and stand by merchandise?
One of the vendors on my page
So
actually beat
that's
me
what
to it,
people
but
do when
I
you
wish
get.
I would've-
You know what?
I wish I
How
would've
many
made a
people are
stand back, stand by shirt.
selling
On
mega
December
pint
19th,
merchandise right
President
now?
Trump tweeted about
Right.
the January 6th
Right. That's a
attack.
good grift right there.
These Be There, Will Be Wild. Many of the witnesses that we interviewed were inspired by the president's call and came to DC for
The
January 6th.
protest.
But the extremists they took it a step further. They viewed this
Protest
tweet
a
as call
mile and
to
a half
arms.
away.
A day later, the Department of Justice describes how the Proud Boys created a chat called the Ministry of Self-Defense Leadership Chat.
But what's that got to do with
Established
Donnie T?
command structure in anticipation of coming back to DC on January 6th. The
What's that got
Department
to do with Donnie T?
describes
It
Mr.
has
Carter's
nothing to do with him.
of a document called the 1776 Returns,
These
which
people don't know
describes
how the internet works.
individuals occupying key buildings around the United States Capitol. The Oath Keepers are another group that the committee investigated.
You better get your ass to DC, folks, this Saturday.
Yeah, if you don't, there'll be no more republic. But we're not going to let that happen. It's not even an if. It's either President Trump is encouraged and bolstered and strengthened to do what he must do, or we wind up in a bloody fight. We all know that. The fight's coming.
The Oath Keepers began planning to block the peaceful transfer of power shortly
Quote mining, quote mining, quote
According to the
mining.
Department of Justice, Stuart Rhodes, the Oath Keepers leader, said to his followers that we were not going to get through this without a civil war. In response to the December 19th, 2020 tweet by President Trump, the Oath Keepers focused on January 6th in Washington, D.C. In response to the tweet, one member, the president of the Florida chapter, put on social media, "The president called us to the Capitol. He wants us to make it wild." The goal was for the
Notice
Oath Keepers
that's
to be
not a
called to duty
screenshot.
so that they could keep the president in
It's
power
not. It's
while
they
Trump
doctored up.
had just lost the election. The committee learned that the Oath
Facebook
Keepers
chat don't even look like that.
reaction forces outside of the city in Virginia where they stored arms. The goal of these quick reaction forces was to be on standby just in case President Trump invoked the Insurrection Act.
Did the Oath Keepers ever provide weapons to members?
I'm going to decline to answer that. I put them at grounds for due process grounds.
In footage obtained by the committee, we learned that on the night of January
They're like a paintball gun to me, by the way, because of the fucking bag over top of the muzzle.
in Washington, D.C.
There's mutual respect there. I think we're fighting the same fight, and I think that's what's important.
The committee learned that the Oath Keepers went
He's
into
the redacted. He's in their pocket. They
formation.
picked him up the day before because he's their informant.
Went into the Capitol looking for Speaker Pelosi, although they never found her. As the attack was unfolding, Mr. Tarrio took credit. In documents obtained by the
How did he
Department of
take
Justice,
credit?
Mr. Tarrio said in an encrypted chat, "Make no mistake." and
How did he do that?
this.
He was under arrest. He was in
Later on that
custody.
evening, Mr. Tarrio even posted a video which seemed to resemble him in front of the Capitol with a black cape.
How when they picked him up from the airport?
Premonition.
They had
The
him in
evidence
custody.
developed
How did he
for the
do
Select
this?
Committee and the Department of
They
Justice
picked him up from the airport.
participated on the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. In fact, the investigation revealed
Picked him up as soon as he landed. That was the story.
who instigated the initial breach at the Peace
It
Circle.
was Ray
at
Epps one of the
12:53
Proud
p.m.
Boys?
He could have been.
Within 10 minutes, rioters had already filled the Lower West Plaza.
At 1:03, Trump wasn't even done talking yet.
By 2 o'clock,
He wasn't, unless they got the fastest mile time ever recorded. It's no way.
by 2:13, rioters had actually broken through the Senate wing door and gotten into the Capitol building. A series of breaches followed. At 2:25 p.m., rioters breached the east side doors to the rotunda.
Wait. Breached the east doors? Wait, no, it was the west doors
And
they
then
were
right
let
after
in. It was the
2:40
west
p.m.,
doors.
rioters breached the east side doors near the Ways and Means room. Once the rioters infiltrated the Capitol, they moved through the crypt, the rotunda, the hallways leading to the House chambers, and even inside the Senate chambers.
And what did they do?
They just walked around for an hour.
Cannibalism
They
was
just walked around for an hour.
Violent extremist groups have been charged with seditious conspiracy in connection with the January 6th attack. One is the Oath Keepers. They are a group of armed anti-government extremists. The other
Really? Is that right?
Let's
they
look up Oath
promote
Keepers.
white supremacist beliefs and have engaged
I want y'all to remember something, people.
Anti-government
Debut
extremists.
as
I'm
their
curious. Where's their
political
website? Where's their website?
members of both
I want y'all to remember something,
already
people. This
pled
was said
guilty
in
to crimes
1989.
associated with the January 6th attack.
This was from a memo
Mr. Quest
from one of the redacted agencies
documentary
in a book written by Bill Cooper.
access
Said
Proud Boys and their
there will come a
leaders.
time where the people are told that the
Bill
biggest
Cooper
threat to the United States will be its the people will be told that the biggest threat to the United States is its patriots, the men and women willing to fight for the Constitution. This was from one of the redacted agencies through a memo.
Head of the Proud Boys
Lo and behold, here we go.
in Washington, D.C. What happened?
We picked up Mr. Tarrio from jail. He'd been arrested for carrying some magazines, some extra capacity magazines, and
That's when they picked it up from the airport.
took responsibility for the burning of the
Really, that's not what they said
Black
in
Lives
public
Matter
why he
flag that was
was-
stolen from the
Not
church.
why he
That's not why they told him why he was picked
on
up.
December the 12th. We
Oh,
were
so he
attempting
was
to get
out
an
that
interview
day?
with Mr. Tarrio. We had no idea.
Right, exactly. Because last time I checked, I have a DC carry permit. Right. If I didn't have a DC carry permit, if I had a bullet, if I just had a bullet
from
in my
the
truck,
property department,
I'm going to jail for a while.
Jail in
which
DC.
is
So
just south of the mall. We picked up his bags and went to get some other bags from the Phoenix Hotel, where we encountered Mr. Stuart Rhodes from the Oath Keepers.
Jesus, man.
By the
This is
time
ridiculous.
I'd gone to park the car, my colleague was saying, who'd got into the car with Mr. Tario, that they had moved to
but if you had those
location
magazines, here's a
around the
good point.
corner, the parking garage of the
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
Legends.
he is.
Yes, he is.
And so we quickly drove over there. We drove down into the parking garage, and
He had got that on nightlight at this point.
and Mr. Rhodes and certain other individuals in that garage. We then continued to follow Mr. Tario. There was some discussion about where he was going to go. He ended up going towards a hotel in Baltimore, and we conducted an interview with him in the hotel room. And then we returned to DC for that night. And what was interesting that night actually was that was the first indication that DC was much more busy than it had been any other time we'd been here, because we couldn't get into the hotels we wanted to, and we ended up at a hotel that was not as satisfactory as we would have hoped.
Thank you. Ty Alexander says, I can't wait to hear how AOC was murdered by Proud Boys
Thank you.
wielding miniguns. I can't wait. But in a serious note, what position do you think Biden's handlers promised
the meeting
the two
between
rhinos for
Mr.
that
Tario
their
and
integrity?
Oathkeepers,
Biden didn't have anything to do with it. I think it was Nancy Pelosi.
You couldn't
who did
hear
that.
what was said, but
Oh yeah,
just
100%.
indictment of Mr. Tario, a participant referenced the Capitol. Now, on the morning of January 6th, you learned the Proud Boys would gather near the rally scheduled to take place near the White House. What time did you meet up with the Proud Boys, and what was happening when they
Before
met?
they played my mags.
We met up with the Proud Boys somewhere around 10:30 a.m. and they were starting to walk down the mall easterly direction towards the Capitol. There was a large contingent, more than I had expected, and I was confused to a certain extent why we were walking away from the president's speech, because that's what I felt we were there to cover.
So at 10:30 a.m., that's early in the day. That's even before President Trump had started speaking. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So how many Proud Boys would you estimate were marching together to the Capitol?
A couple of hundred, potentially. Yeah, I'd say a couple of hundred Proud Boys were marching towards the Capitol at that point.
A couple of hundred.
Was the area heavily guarded?
No, that was, I remember we walked we walked down the mall, we walked to the right of the reflecting pool, and then north along the road that leads to the Peace Circle. And as we were walking past the Peace Circle, I framed the Proud Boys to the right of my shot with the Capitol behind, and we see one sole police officer at the barriers, which subsequently breached. We then walk up and past
they knew there was they had one officer.
You can see that in the film.
Right.
where
That's what I'm saying is BS.
Duty and their honor, and you see maybe a dozen Capitol Police putting on their riot gear.
So how would you describe the atmosphere at that time?
The atmosphere it seemed to be much darker. I make efforts to create a familiarity between myself and my subjects to make them feel comfortable.
Much darker.
And the atmosphere was much darker at this day than had been in these other days. And there was also a contingent of Proud Boys that I hadn't met before from Arizona who appeared to wear these orange hats and had orange armbands.
Orange hats. Almost like they wanted to be identified.
Down the hill to the Peace
Yeah, they wanted to be identified.
Did a larger
Exactly.
crowd start together?
Well, no, first of all, we went round to the back and down the steps, and we took some photographs on the east side of the Capitol, and then we went for lunch. We went for tacos.
Because ain't the Proud Boys like uniform like Perry Ellis t-shirts or something?
To things.
Yeah, they had those
that you have
yellow,
observed.
like
what you've
rimmed
told us
collars and shit.
is highly relevant. Let me highlight a few key facts that you and others have provided the committee. First, there was a large group of Proud Boys
That I don't
present
know.
at the Capitol.
Let me recap
We know
for
that
you.
from multiple sources.
Let me tell you what you missed. Let me tell you what you forgot to say.
50 to 300 individuals that you've testified. They weren't there for President Trump's speech. We know this because they left that area to march toward the Capitol before the speech began.
They weren't at the speech.
They walked around the Capitol.
They weren't there for the speech.
I'm concerned this allowed them to see what defenses were in place and where weaknesses might be.
He's saying they're doing recon.
And they decided to launch
Don't you do that the day before?
Peace Circle, which is the front door of the Capitol complex. It's the first security perimeter that those marching from the ellipse would have to come to as they move toward the Capitol. The Peace Circle walkaway was...
Again, this is leading. He's not supposed to be doing this.
Right. Angry Trump
this
supporters would arrive after President Trump.
Well, he's reading a speech off the screen. Again, this is produced.
The Proud Boys timed their attack to the moments before the start of the joint session in the Capitol, which is also where President Trump directed the angry mob, quote, "We fight like hell," end quote.
Oh,
told them
again, quote mining
down Pennsylvania Avenue, right to where the Proud Boys gathered and where you were filming.
Jeez.
The question is whether the attack on the Capitol.
I said hi to Tazzy already. Your show.
What you witnessed.
Tazzy was here before you were.
Planned effort would look.
Tazzy's my boy, man.
It was the culmination of a months-long effort spearheaded by President Trump.
Oh my God! So President Trump was planning this for months.
Eyewitness account of the lead up to the breach of the Peace Circle. This brings us to a point in time where you and Officer Edwards were in close proximity. At this point,
okay, Q, I got you.
The balance of my seat, Section 8 of House Resolution 503. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Wyoming.
Continuum. He's right. He's right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Real sketchy.
I want to start by thanking you for your service and thank you for your courage.
Good evening, Alone and Asan.
I know that it's not easy to relive what happened for you and for the officers behind you and for the family members of officers in the audience this evening. But it's really important for the country to have a full accounting and understand what happened. I want to start, Officer Edwards, with a short clip.
That's messed up what happened to this officer. I
a horrible moment.
Yeah, it is.
Injured.
It is. She got trampled and knocked unconscious. That's sad. I get it.
But notice how they're. Where is? There's Ray Epps right there. That was him.
Yeah, that was him. Yep. Yeah, that's him right there, right?
Why was she the only one
sad.
there? I don't understand.
Yeah,
Look, what's crazy is that was the most direct line from the rally to the Capitol, and that had one officer there.
One officer, guys. I want you to understand this: midlife crisis actors are real.
There were about, I want to say about 5 of us.
No, they
on
didn't.
that line.
They didn't. They saw him coming. They didn't ask any more officers down there. Come
there was
on,
our
man.
bike rack,
None.
and at the
None.
bottom of Pennsylvania Avenue.
I think she's She-Hulk.
Peace Circle. There was another bike rack, and so the crowd had kind of gathered there. It was the crowd led by Joseph Biggs, and they were mostly in civilian clothes. There were some who had military fatigues on. We could see.
So how she know it was Joe Biggs though?
With bulletproof vests on, things like that.
Oh, she said it was Joe Biggs?
Seem,
Yeah, she just said it.
extremely cohesive, but they had gathered there in their outfits, but they had gathered there together.
Where were the rest of your police
Joseph
officers? That's what I
Biggs
want to know.
started.
Where were the rest of them?
He had a micro or a
Where was the rest
megaphone.
of your
Honey,
officers?
Started talking.
Honey, either they set you up.
First it was
Or you're in on the plot.
relating to Congress.
And they put one
And then
officer, a female, right there. Is the only one there.
Tables started turning once the what is now the Arizona group is what you said.
She didn't pull her gun?
The crowd with orange hats.
I haven't heard her once ask for backup.
Nope.
FUCK Antifa. And they joined.
Now they try to make Antifa the
once
fucking
they
victims.
that group,
Now they try to make Antifa sound benevolent.
Joseph
FU
Biggs'
Antifa.
rhetoric turned to the Capitol Police. He started asking us questions like, you didn't miss a paycheck during the pandemic. Mentioning stuff about our pay scale was mentioned. And, started turning the tables on us. And I've worked, I can, conservatively say probably hundreds of civil disturbance events. I know when I'm being turned into a villain, and that's when I turn to my sergeant.
You like them BLM riots earlier the year?
The understatement of the century. I said, Sarge, I think we're going to need a few more people down here.
Oh, sure, she did call for some.
There's guys. Do you understand what just happened just now?
Why was there only one?
That's called dupe. That's called Duper's delight.
They went a little
That's called
silent.
Duper's delight because she couldn't keep a straight face. She had to smile and laugh about that.
Oh, right.
Meaning that she's getting over.
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch
Ryan
that.
Samsel, he put his arm.
She knows she's getting over. That's called Duper's delight. She couldn't keep a straight face when she said, "Sarge, we need more people down here."
Barricade. They ripped the first barricade down.
Oh, was that?
And
she just mentioned Ray Epps?
Our bike racks.
Did she?
Well, she didn't say his name. But
I know she said she keeps saying Joe Biggs.
At that time, we started holding on, grabbing the bike racks. There weren't many of us, so I grabbed the middle between two different bike racks. And, I wasn't under any pretense that I could hold it for very long, but I just wanted to, make sure that we could get more people down and get our CDU units tied to answer the call. So we started grappling over the bike racks.
Why did they let him go
I
in
felt
DC?
The bike rack.
And where did the footage come from? That's another question.
Fell on the
If
stairs.
there was so many hostile people down there, where did that footage of her getting trampled and knocked to the ground like that? Who filmed that?
No, there was multiple people filming. I've seen multiple angles of that same scene. Because remember the one with Ray Epps? That was there. That was another camera. That.
Yeah, but that was one of the. That was somebody calling them out.
Yeah, and you were not
something like this. I feel like it's like in action, and then they just start acting up.
Oh,
you know what I
right.
mean?
And when you regained consciousness, even with the injuries, you returned to duty. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So they want
at
to
that
make her a
time,
hero,
adrenaline
which
kicked
no,
in.
she's doing her job. I don't have any problem with
towards
her.
the West Front,
Except for the reason why was she the only one there?
Senate steps.
Right. They set her up.
The Lower West Terrace.
Just somebody be there record when they knock her little ass to the ground.
At us. It just seemed like, more and more people started, coming onto the West Front. They started overpowering us. And that was right about when
she's trying to memorize her
officers
lines.
showed up. Their bike officers pushed the crowd back and allowed our CDU units as well as theirs to form that line that you see, that very thin line.
That's facts, Frank.
And the protesters, the rioters, at that time, I fell behind that line. And for a while, I started decontaminating people who had gotten sprayed and treating people medically.
Oh, it's not lost on us, Richo. It's not lost on us.
And then you were injured again there on the West Terrace. Is that right, Officer Edwards?
Yes, ma'am. So after a while, I got back on the line. It was on the house side of the Lower West Terrace. And I was holding that line for a while. There weren't many of us over there. and Officer Sicknick was behind me.
Oh, damn,
for most
Wizard.
of the
Come on,
time,
man.
For about 30 to 45 minutes that I was down there.
Oh, I'm not putting that on the screen.
We were just, as the best we could, we were just, grappling over bike racks and trying to hold them as quick as possible. All of the sudden, I see movement to the left of me. And I turned, and it was Officer Sicknick with his head in his hands.
Is Officer Sicknick really?
Was ghostly pale.
Look,
but that's the same. That's the same Officer Sicknick that said they said that nothing was wrong. He called his wife, said it was cool. He went home and all that shit. And the next day, that's when he went down, right?
My, cop.
I don't know if she bringing up Sicknick is like he got pepper sprayed
because
he was ghostly pale. That has nothing to do with
pepper spray.
His
you're gonna turn red.
This has nothing to do with the stroke.
He turned just about as pale as this sheet of paper. And so I looked back to see what had hit him, what had happened, and that's when I got sprayed in the eyes as well.
By your own officers or by
I was
them?
taken to be decontaminated by another officer, but we didn't get the chance because we were then tear gassed.
By who?
And we
by who
are going to play just a brief clip of that moment that you've just described, Officer Edwards.
Oh my God, they have it. What are they pointing at? They showed something. Okay, so she got. So
what did that show?
But where's the tear gas? I guess her getting pepper sprayed.
And I know again how difficult it is. I know the family of Officer Sicknick as well, who's here tonight. And one of the things one of the Capitol Police officers said to me recently was to ask me whether or not, as members of Congress, all of us understood that on that day, on January 6th, when we were evacuated from the chamber, were led to a safe, undisclosed location, whether we knew that so many of you had rushed out of the building and into the fight.
CW,
and,
that's just wrong.
I can assure you that we do know that, and that we understand.
I'll put up there for 2
important the
seconds, and then I'm
service
going to take it down.
Thank you for your continued work with our committee. Thank you very much for both of you for being here this evening. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much.
I want to. Okay, keep it moving. Is that okay? So they also have the dude from Maryland. I forgot his name over there.
Can you?
The guy's been on camera all the time.
Give us
Raskin.
One memory
Jamie Raskin.
of
Yeah.
that awful day that stands out most vividly in your mind.
What about that awful day stands out most in your mind?
I can.
Yes, because I knew the question
That
was coming.
time when I talked about falling behind MPD's line.
Hell no, man,
I
Squatch. You know
remember
that
because
they
I
ain't
had
there.
been
They didn't.
kind
They
of
weren't
shielded
invited.
away because I was holding those stairs. So I wasn't able to really see what was going on over here. When I fell behind that line and I saw, I can just remember my breath catching in my throat because what I saw was just a war scene.
Sorry, P Dog. I got Paula HJ on this one.
Like I'd seen out of.
Gotta eat.
It's all right.
I couldn't believe my eyes. There were officers on the ground. You know, they were bleeding. They were throwing up.
So
they
it was
were,
a riot.
I mean, I saw friends with blood all over their faces.
That's what they're implying.
People's blood. You know, I was catching people as they fell. It was carnage. It was chaos.
How many officers were shot that day, like David Dorn?
I can't even describe.
I believe it was 0. I think it was just Ashley Babbitt.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think that as a police officer, as a law enforcement officer, I would find myself in the middle of a battle.
You know, I felt that way when I
I'm
went
trained
down to
to
Minneapolis the day after the riots
detain,
happened
a couple of subjects and handle,
Minneapolis.
handle a crowd.
I
But
couldn't believe what
I'm
I
not
was seeing.
combat trained. And
Businesses that I
day,
used to
it
go
was
to
just
burned to the ground.
hours of hand-to-hand combat, hours of dealing with things that were way beyond any law enforcement officer has ever trained for. And I just remember that moment of stepping behind the line and just seeing
Even local law enforcement's trained for riot training.
come.
Let me thank you for your service and obviously your bravery that you have told the world about tonight. It's unfortunate that you had to defend the Capitol from fellow Americans. None of us would ever think that that would have to happen, but it did. So let me thank our witnesses for joining us tonight and sharing their experiences with America. Throughout my chairmanship of this committee, I've continuously vowed that this committee will ensure a comprehensive account of the heroic acts on January 6th, and that we will follow the facts wherever they lead.
Exactly, man, Squash. She was undertrained.
Of that record and helps us do our job. Mr. Quested, thank you for sharing your footage and your account of the day's events with us. The images you recorded and have shared with the committee do a better job than any of our words in reinforcing the violence of January 6th. We hope that the power of your footage help encourage all Americans to consider how citizens of such
it
so
doesn't
much
sound very
in
sincere
common
when he's obviously reading this.
viciously brawl at the
No, there's
seat.
nothing sincere about anything that he's saying. There's nothing. His tone isn't even sincere.
No.
Thank you for your brave service.
He's just going through the motions.
January
That
6th,
was, he did say
and all
that
you
that
did
was
to
real.
protect us, and most importantly,
But the
our
rest he just read off
democracy.
script.
If you and your fellow officers hadn't held the line against those violent insurrectionists, we can only imagine the disaster that would have ensued. Your heroism is the face of danger is admirable, and your will to continue to protect and serve despite your serious injuries should be an inspiration to all of us. We wish
Guess
you.
what she wouldn't have endured if y'all would have granted his 10,000 troops like he asked you for.
Sometime soon.
They didn't have went through this.
The members of the select
Or Nancy
committee
Pelosi knew
may
it was
have
coming, but she didn't
additional
like the
questions
optics.
for tonight's
Oh, I forgot.
witnesses,
Tire started
and we
for your neck of
ask
the
that
woods,
you
Cannon.
respond
Oh, is
expeditiously
that right?
Yeah.
writing to those questions.
Not only that, she didn't want it wasn't the optics she was looking for.
10 business days to submit statements for the record.
Let's get them enough rope to hang themselves, and then we're going to nail them. That's what she was saying.
The witnesses have just told us what they heard the rioters saying, why they stormed the Capitol on that day. Now we're going to hear it from the rioters themselves.
What about what the police officer said up in Minneapolis and all those other places in the Summer of Love? Black officer said he heard.
Killed.
What really made me want to come was the fact that, I had supported Trump all that time. I did believe, that the election was being stolen.
I want y'all to understand that these are informants.
He personally asked for us to come to DC that day.
For
And
the
I thought,
rally.
For everything he's done
God,
for
you
us,
piece of shit.
if this is the only thing he's going to ask of me, I'll do it.
Come to the rally.
To the Capitol.
Did you call President Trump?
Oh, you're not going to play the rest of it, though, huh?
Oh, he didn't play the rest of the sentence.
You didn't play the rest of the sentence, though?
Oh, my God.
He's going to be there.
I know why I
Quote
was
mining.
there, and that's because he called me there, and he laid out what
If I was
had
Trump, I'd be suing for defamation.
Oh, my God.
He laid it out.
But I remember
Defamation.
telling people to be there, right? I mean, to support. So you mentioned that
For the
the
rally.
president asked you. Do you remember a specific message
basically, yeah, he asked for us to come to DC, that big things are going to happen.
What got me interested, he said, I have something very important to say on January 6th.
Understand that people talking are informants. Understand that people are talking are
That's not even
actors.
it. That's not even
Trump has
it.
only
These
asked
are
me for
completely
two
out of
things.
context. He
He
told
asked
them to
me
come
for
there
my
for a
vote.
rally.
He asked me to
Yes.
come on January 6th.
Jesus Christ.
When the committee reconvenes next week.
And notice how they
we're
time
going
this
to
out
examine
perfectly
the
to 2 hours
lies
so they
that
could have the
convinced those
pundits
men
talk about it
and
for an hour
others to
until 10
storm the
o'clock.
Capitol.
Reconvene next week. That means they want tomorrow to they want this to be the news cycle for the rest of the weekend.
First part of Trump's attack on the rule of law, when he hit the fuse that ultimately resulted in the violence of January 6th.
And the way they get away with this is because it's not a criminal hearing.
Right.
With that,
Oh, right.
committee
There are no
stands
rules for
adjourned.
this.
There's no rules.
There's no rules. It's
It's just a
wow.
production.
Wow.
It's just a production.
So as we assumed, I'm gonna change the size of this, fix this a little bit. Can I get two? No, I can't do it that way. That doesn't work. Hang on. The hell? There we go. All right. So
yeah.
Is this what you expected it to be?
This is 100% what I expected. However, I can't still help but get like infuriated. You know what I mean? Because we all know that this is just a half truth, right?
Yes.
But the fact that they're going to get away with this, you're going to have all of the major media outlets, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have your CNNs, you're going to have your MSNBCs, you're going to have your The View. You're going to have all these people talking about this tomorrow. You're going to have the what time is it? 9:50. So you're going to have like the Jimmy Kimmels and all these people talking about this hearing,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not meeting tomorrow because they want this to marinate. They want this to stew. They want to get this on the news cycle tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? They want to get people tugging at emotional heartstrings. People who can't discern, like, oh, wait a minute, wait. So you tell me that they left that girl down there that long with no help? Where was DC Metro? How come the National Guard wasn't out there? Is it true that he actually sent the National? Nobody's going to ask questions. Like I said before, people already made their mind up on what happened that day. So this is just BS. All this is trying to reintroduce this into people's brains because the midterms are coming up. And it ain't looking good for the left. So they throwing Hail Marys right now. They're using gun control. They're using this committee, this sham of a committee to try to sway the court of public opinion is what they're doing. Thinking this is going to help them in November. But the sad part is you got people out here that's going to go run with this. They're going to go along with this. They won't do any research. They won't ask any questions. You can hear from these people all day. Oh, the Proud Boy said this. The Oath Keeper said this. You heard these people talking about this. Never mind the fact that Trump can't control those people. He don't know what they're going to do that day. He had a rally. He asked for 10,000 National Guard members. That's record. And Pelosi said no because of the optics. Mario Bowser refused to bring officers in until after the damage was done. I remember sitting at my desk and I remember hearing it on the news saying that she was sending the DC Metro Police after people were already leaving the Capitol. I had a buddy call me like, yo, what they doing down there? He said, oh, this bullshit. My bad. He said, all this BS. He said, they ain't even doing nothing. All they doing is walking around. He was looking to see some bedlam. All they did was that they just was walking around the Capitol. He said, they didn't even do nothing. And it's a dude that don't care either way. Then you had Donnie T get on TV and he got on Twitter with a video saying, go home. But guess who took that down?
Twitter took it down immediately.
Took his tweet down immediately. This was a concerted effort by the powers that be to tarnish Donald Trump's legacy, to tarnish Donald Trump's image, to assassinate his character, to make it so that he cannot run for president ever again in life.
Yeah. Let's hear
Not to mention that he already beat it in the impeachment.
Yep. And the Justice Department and the FBI said there was no concerted, no coordinated effort on that day, that they had no evidence whatsoever that this was a coordinated effort, that a top down enterprise. Here, let's hear what Benny Thompson's saying here.
Same time. So it's clear that there was more to what was occurring than just coming to a stop to steal.
Well, then why didn't the FBI just say that? Why did the FBI not say that?
Defines that.
And that it had nothing, there was no top down.
Former Trump White House officials or justice officials to testify in public here in the next in the public hearings.
They're not going to do that because they don't want to hear a different story.
Well, it's our hope that they will. Obviously, we're a nation of laws. Our committee follows the law. We'll invite anyone who has information that they think is important to our committee. We gladly will accept them. Any information we presented tonight, if there's someone who would come under oath to our committee with a different opinion, we welcome it.
But that's BS.
I'm going to stop for a second, because one of the dirtiest things they did was right there at the end when they took Donald Trump's sentence where he said, go down to the Capitol and protest peacefully. And they cut that off.
If you have nothing to hide, play it in context.
This is some major quote mining nonsense. And even when they had that little montage of people why they came to DC, and they're saying, well, Donald Trump invited us. What did Donald Trump invite? What specifically did Donald Trump invite you there for? What did he say? He was inviting people to come to that Stop the Steal rally.
Show me an email where Donald Trump himself said to you, come down to DC. I need you to pull off some devious shit. You won't.
No, you won't.
All of that was taken out in context. It was taken out of context.
It's terrible. It's amazing though. I'm gonna go back on Twitter here. Just on the January, let's go on the January 6th hashtag here real quick. I'm gonna find it. See what people are. I'm gonna go in the latest tweets here. I have to laugh at that AOC tweet though. That was hilarious, where she was saying that video reminded her
the trauma was coming back. Oh my God, somebody get me a cold wet cloth. Help me, please.
You weren't even there. Let's see. Anyone else check their Facebook feed to find none of this trending? Haven't seen that. Eric Waldo, this country was sick. Watching the January 6th hearing is a heartbreaking reminder we must never go back and never forget. People talking about traitor, sexual predator Matt Gaetz, who Representative Steele follows in House GOP. Okay, I don't know about that. Let's screen down here. Let me go back to the top. Anyone, because I know AOC.
They've been after Matt Gaetz for a minute.
A reminder, 21 Republicans voted against granting the Congressional Gold Medal to Capitol police officers who tried to defend the Capitol on January 6th because it was a grandstanding move. Alec Brushwitz.
All it was.
Wow, the January 6th committee just doctored a clip. They removed Ray Epps from the video of the protest first breaching the barricade. They sure damn well did.
They did.
Why did they remove Ray Epps from the video? Well, it's obvious why they removed Ray Epps from video, because they don't want you to see that. They don't want anyone asking questions about Ray Epps. They don't want to know.
They need Ray Epps. They need Ray Epps for another op.
They need it for another op. Exactly. Hello, Johnny Blaze. Welcome to the show. There's AOC again. Food, Politibunny, Americans, gas prices are too high. Democrats, but January 6th. Americans, I can't afford groceries. Democrats, but January 6th. Americans, I can't find baby formula. Democrats, but January 6th. Americans, crime is off the charts in my city. January 6th, motherfucker. Good God.
Good Lord, the way it all comes rushing back into my body.
Now,
it's like it's that day all over again Oh, AOC, shut up.
Poor AOC. Now it's interesting because let's look at some media people. So here's ABC News, and they're going to show you the most tear-jerking parts. Here, wait a minute, hold up. I need some music for this. Hold up. Where's my music? I need some tear-jerking music. Hang on a second here. Go here. We're gonna read these with a little style here. What the hell happened here?
She wasn't even close that day.
Oh, AOC?
Yeah, she's the David Hogg. She's the David Hogg of January 6th.
Yes. Okay, ABC News. Hang on. Oh. Sandra Garza, partner of Brian Sicknick, U.S. Capitol police officer who died the night after, keyword after, the January 6th Capitol attack, cries as she attends tonight's hearing into the assault. Now, I feel bad for her. She lost her partner a long time, but it wasn't because of the Capitol riots. He died of a stroke, and they didn't tell you that until after his funeral, when they knew it immediately. ABC News, January 6th Select Committee, Vice Chair Liz Cheney. President Trump summoned the mob, assembled the mob, and lit the flames of this attack. I gotta turn that music off because that's too loud. Anyway, I want to see like mainstream media. Here's another ABC News. Okay, so they're just talking about what happened. Man. I gotta tell you. Oh, I didn't even have that on screen, did I? Oh well.
Oh, listen to this one right here. Listen to this. I'm old enough to remember when Fox News covered Benghazi. Wall to wall, including Hillary Clinton's 11+ hour testimony by choosing not to broadcast the January 6th committee hearings. They're making the conscious decision to commit journalistic malpractice. Kurt Bardella.
You know who didn't cover Benghazi hearings? MSNBC, CBS,
Exactly.
ABC,
Exactly.
NBC,
Exactly.
CNN.
Exactly.
They didn't cover the Benghazi hearings. So,
not to mention, it wasn't just implicating old Hill Dog; it was implicating old Barrio as well.
Oh, this is this clip of Joy Reid. Should we put this on? Let's check out this clip of Joy Reid. Let's check this out. Hang on a second. Let me put this on the screen. There we go. Let's leave this clip.
Well, and this is why, Joy, and I just wrote this in a column that was just published at the LA Times, that I think it's time that we reach the point where we stop treating Fox like a news outlet at all, because it's clearly not. They're making the conscious decision to commit journalistic malpractice by ignoring the biggest story right now, the biggest story perhaps in our entire country's history, actually, when you look at where
is that right?
Hold
is
up.
that right?
What did he just say? What did this fool just say?
He said it's the biggest story
of
our lifetime.
Story in our country's history?
That's what he said.
Motherfucker, what? Okay. You need to open a history book, Nick. You gotta be kidding me. Good evening.
You got P-Dog using the N-word and everything. God damn, you pissed him off.
That's not even my style. You what? Oh my God. Pearl Harbor would like to have a word.
Pearl Harbor, that day in September, would like to have a word.
This isn't even the worst thing that's happened in our capital. Okay?
At all.
Look, the Senate building was bombed by the Weather Underground in the 70s.
I remember that.
I
remember hearing about it.
Congress people were shot by people in the gallery in the House of Representatives in 1952 by some Puerto Rican separatists. Where are these? Do these fools not ever heard? Oh my God!
That's how they do. And they know that the NPCs are going to eat this up.
All right, let's see what else he says.
All going. This is a major pivotal inflection point in the fight to salvage democracy. And
listen, and we've been talking about it almost nonstop for a year and a half.
For a year and a half.
So it's not like this is new news. Nothing in this is new. This committee's been reported on constantly since the committee started.
Despite all the discovery that's come out, to the contrary,
or at least for the last 6 months. Right.
They are choosing not to cover it. That's not the action of a responsible news outlet. That's not the action.
And Fox Business Channel had the hearing on live, so they had it on one of their networks.
Of a journalist. That's not the action of a reporter. That is the action of a propaganda vehicle for a political party that is determined to play
pot kettle.
Look at the pot calling the kettle, calling the pot calling the kettle. That's what Martin would say.
Role in undermining democracy as we know it.
Democracy.
Why these people are allowed to have a White House press briefing access, why they're allowed to have a press credential to cover the U.S. Capitol.
Because nobody asked the White House questions that aren't giving them a tongue bath with their they aren't tongue.
Why does Joy Reid have a hair budget and she's not using it correctly? I just want to know. This is crazy. Like, you don't understand, people. This is what they do. They gaslight. They're gaslighting. You're going to hear this all day tomorrow. They're going to gaslight. Gaslight. They're going to try to rally their base to go after the right, trying to gin up more votes. This is what's happening right now. They know that this committee means nothing.
Right?
Nothing.
But
this isn't a criminal hearing. This is nothing. This is just them doctoring up some audio to assassinate Donnie T's character and to make Republicans look bad, which I don't understand why the Republicans wouldn't have their own committee. You understand? I mean, because the left, they play with weighted gloves. They're fighting with weighted gloves.
Well,
remember kickboxing when they was using glass on their wraps? That's the Democrats right there.
So here's what else they're telegraphing. Okay. So this is a timing. It's midterm elections. They're in trouble. So they time these hearings for about the middle of June so they can go the entire month of June during primary season, and they can do these hearings. And then here's what's going to happen. This committee is going to recommend to the Justice Department that they press charges on something, criminal charges. And they're going to try to, they may attempt to press charges against Donald Trump. Now, clearly that what's going on in New York hasn't been working, although now he's apparently they're going to have him testify for something. They've got a couple of people held in contempt for not doing the January. But it's interesting. So they had, who was it that just recently got filed for contempt on the January 6th committee? I think it was Steve Bannon and what's the other dude's name? Someone in the chat tell me that because the two prior ones that the committee wanted to charge with contempt of Congress, the Justice Department just threw those cases out. They decided they're not going to prosecute them. But now they got Steve Bannon and who is the someone tell me the other one. Somebody's got to know in the chat. But so now they have two more that they want to charge with contempt, and apparently the Justice Department might actually take up those cases. But here's what they're going to do. June, these hearings through the month of June. Then they're going to have the Justice Department come out in July or August and charge somebody with something, anything that they can put a hearing on TV with. And then they're going to stretch that out all the way through the midterm elections, trying to paint this as all the Republicans are part of the insurrection. And that's their strategy for the midterms, because they got nothing. They don't have the economy. Nope. Jobs, not really, even though they say they've recovered all the greatest job gain in forever. No. People just got their jobs back, and a lot of people are leaving those jobs. Are wages going up? Nope. Stagflation. Yep. They got nothing. And that's what people are worried about. People are worried about the price of gas, if they can feed their family, because the price of food, their budgets are getting busted. Biden the other night talking about how, it's a great economy. They just don't know it. No one's telling them it's a great economy. You know what? When I go to my when I go to the gas station and put 3/4 of a tank of gas in my truck, and it's cost me $100, I know when that's happening. And that
$100. I just came from Virginia. I had to go pick up a boat down 4 miles, 4 hours into Virginia, down past Richmond. $310, people, to fill up my F-350.
Oh my God, because you're driving that 350, hauling big things.
And that's on top of me filling up yesterday so I can make the trip. So that's $600 in 2 days.
Is that a diesel or gas?
That's diesel.
Diesel.
And diesel used to be cheaper than regular gasoline. Now this shit is expensive.
Yeah, it used to be like 70% of what gas costs, because that's when I remember in the 80s when I was in high school, and that's when those Rabbit diesels became a big thing, because diesel's a lot cheaper than gas. It's like half the price of gas. You could get, you fill that Rabbit diesel, it's got 49 miles a gallon of diesel.
$6.10 today.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And what does the country run on? What does your electric generators run on? What does the trucks run on? What do the trains run on? What
does your house run on? Some people's houses got gas furnaces.
Yeah, you wait till. Well, yeah, I haven't seen it in natural gas yet, but wait until this winter when heating oil in the Northeast, because all y'all in the Northeast use heating oil instead of, I mean, we're hooked to natural gas.
Some houses use heating oil for like their furnaces and stuff.
Right.
They're not using natural gas. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Up in like Pennsylvania and then upstate New York and all, they're all using heating oil.
Yeah. Yep.
Everyone.
I got friends that are already seeing $400 gas bills.
Yep.
Not electric, gas bills.
Right. And they want you to come out here and so they want you to buy an electric car. They keep talking about, oh yeah, well, it's like that senator from Pennsylvania or Michigan, Stabenow. I drove from Michigan to Washington and I went right by every gas station. Guess what, bitch? First of all, the price of electricity is going up. And you want everyone to buy an electric car. Yeah, California, by 2030, they're only going to sell electric cars. What are they going to power them with? You got rolling blackouts in California on electricity.
Right. Last I checked, some of these power plants are run by petroleum, right? Am I wrong about that?
Petroleum or coal, or because they refuse to build nuclear plants.
Right. I want to know how many Walgreens in Walmart she passed. Cause I know she had to fill that car up.
Right.
On electricity.
So I have a friend who he just bought a Tesla. At least I saw him when I was down in Des Moines about a month ago. And which is nice. Now look, he knew where the charging stations were or whatever. And so he got from Chicago to here, it takes about a half hour to recharge a Tesla, like enough to get him, a couple times. But still, they don't have the infrastructure on charging stations. First of all, the cheapest electric car right now is about 50 grand. No one has 50 grand in their pocket. People who's driving someone who's driving an 81, Taurus, ain't buying no $50,000, Chevy Volt or whatever the hell they're called, Bolt or Volt, or whatever the hell they're called. People look, the most efficient vehicles and the ones that are going to take you still drive when you're off the grid is a petroleum-based vehicle.
Exactly.
When your electricity goes out, when the tornado comes, you can still drive your car.
Exactly.
So people are crazy. Anyway, I'm not going to listen to this fool. Just forget this fool.
Remember, Operation Mockingbird was a real operation, people.
Yes.
Remember that. That
was so. All right. Well, guys, this is past my bedtime, but I'm gonna call it a night. But I don't know if I'm gonna live stream the other. They're gonna do 2 of these prime time, and then they're doing some during the day. I may do the other prime time one. Who knows? But I want to thank our friend Canon Hotep, who I'm looking forward to seeing you out in Vegas, my friend.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm excited. I'm still debating if I'm gonna bring my my trapdoor though. Because it's just I've never had to travel with a gun. I have to get it working.
It's super easy. It's super easy. It's super easy. Yeah, I had a lot of because last year was my first year traveling with a handgun because I can carry in Vegas.
Okay.
So it's really easy. You just get a nice lockbox, TSA approved. Yeah, TSA approved locks. Take all the ammo out of your gun, put it in a box. It can all be in the same lock box, but it just can't be in the gun or the magazines.
Okay.
You declare it with your luggage. They put a little orange sticker on it. It goes inside of your check bag, and that's it. That's it. You get to Vegas. You go to whatever airline you're flying with. You give you your bag, and you get your gun. It was super simple. It was really hassle free. The only one I would say is that Spirit was a little weird because Spirit didn't put my luggage in any special group. They just put the shit on the goddamn carousel, and I was like, I got a gun in there. Like, why would you put it on the carousel?
Yeah,
but it was simple. It was really hassle free. The only thing I'm interested in is I'm probably going to carry one of these rifles with me as well, and hopefully I don't get any issues and no cavity searches.
Well, no, mine. This is a like 54-inch rifle. It has to be in a special box. But I just ordered some firing pins for it because it's been sitting on my parents' mantle for 50 years. It hasn't been fired probably since 1960.
Oh wow!
But we're cleaning it up, oiling it up, and putting new firing pins in it. We're gonna see if I can go buy some 4570s and test them at the range. Yeah, it's a 4570 405 grain.
Oh, nice. I want a 4570 so bad. I was looking at a Marlin revolver, lever action 4570.
Yeah, no, this was the rifle that basically almost made the buffalo extinct.
I guarantee it's a big round.
It really is. Yeah, the one thing I want to do is my son-in-law is really into deer hunting, so I want to take that out one time, see if I can get a buck, and then be done with it.
That deer ain't getting up no more.
Back up on the mantle after that. So
that deer ain't getting up at all after that 4570 hit it.
Right. So all right, man. So anyway, thank you, Canon Hotep, for joining us today, and very
no problem.
We'll catch you on the next time. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. So you all have a good night. My name is Dawg. Oh, by the way, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central for the Morning Night Live on my channel. If you're watching a replay, put a comment in the comment section. Hit the like button before you go. And thank you to the sponsors today. Let me see if I can even keep a list. Oh, Ty Alexander, did not do your last super chat? I did not. Thank you, Tyre, again for another super chat there. Who says, I can't wait to hear how AOC was murdered by Proud Boy. Oh, we said this one. I can't wait. But on a serious note, what position do you think Biden's handlers promised the two rhinos their integrity? So again, these were Nancy Pelosi's hand picks.
Yeah.
And because Biden has no idea what's going on. So that's an easy answer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go. Thank you. I'm going to hit my outro here. My name's Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Have a great night.